Hello and welcome to another Destiny Community Podcast. This week we'll have a special guest. He'll be joining us a little later. Blue Westlo will be on to talk some interesting things.
Some stuff and things, important conversations. Yeah.
But that's been fun. I don't think Blue Westlo's been on here in years and years now.
Yeah, I don't even remember if he has been.
I don't think he's been on whilst I've been part of the podcast.
No.
So
No, definitely not.
however long that's been.
I'm almost positive he's been on. Am I crazy? Am I making that up in my head?
I don't know. Don't ask me. My brain doesn't exist.
A lot of
Sounds
drugs,
familiar.
you know. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's all the drugs in the evening. Yeah.
NyQuil. Briar took the NyQuil challenge before the episode. He like popped one back. See if
Oh,
he
is there a
can stay
challenge for that? I could get.
Yeah, do
You
it
get
on
your
TikTok.
name on the wall.
Your first video on TikTok will most likely pop off because they want to give you a bit of the dopamine to be like, hey, look what happens
Yeah.
if you're famous.
Look, if you do
So,
2 bottles, we'll click it even more.
there you go.
And your first live stream on YouTube will also pop off. You'll have
Really?
huge numbers. Yeah, YouTube's actually said
Mm.
they send, like, if you live stream on YouTube for your first time, they actually send a notification to everyone rather than doing whatever stupid shit they normally do.
Oh,
where, like,
yeah.
only
You haven't
some
watched a
people
video
get-
in
Yeah.
like a month, so you never want to
Yeah.
see a video ever again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So like if you do a YouTube live stream, you have like 500-600 people in there. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Then next time will be like 50 or something.
I just watched the
That's how
most
they
messed
get you.
up video. I can't remember the guy's name. It's like Meggy or something like that. But the same guy, apparently, who added lead to gasoline and poisoned the entire planet is the same guy that invented Freon and burned a hole in the ozone layer. Same dude. Like,
How did we get on this YouTube?
I don't know. We're talking
One
about YouTube.
guy.
I just watched YouTube.
I saw a video.
I can't remember. It's like Meggy
What
or
about
YouTube.
McGuire.
Let me tell you
or-
about my experience on YouTube.
I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting. The,
Yeah, no, I
Listen,
think
there's so much
I've seen
lead
that
in the
same video.
environment. Anybody like born between like the years like 1950 and like 1995 is like definitely had lead poisoning. Probably their IQ is lower than like, you know, any other time in history. Like it's pretty bad. Crime.
Are you calling me stupid?
Hey, I'm right
Yeah,
in the
what
prime
years?
zone of that.
What years did you say?
Like definitely like your IQ has been lowered if you're born in that time. Everybody's still got like the residuals of lead in their bodies from this. Everybody on the whole planet, everybody.
Have you been down a YouTube rabbit hole again, Brian? We'll just pull you back out.
Is this the
YouTube
zombie dormant?
only
Brian's
ever
gonna be like,
recommends really
"Guys,
weird stuff like this.
I found this cool guy called Andrew Tate. Have you heard of him?
Oh god,
my god.
I'm like, Brian, no, too far. Come back.
come back, pull it back.
It's too deep.
I did get recommended some Hollow Earth videos, which are
Oh.
frankly very entertaining. I gotta say.
They're always fun.
They are fun.
Yeah.
You know, like if you can
Wait,
just
did
like
you say hollow Earth or
Yeah,
flat
so
Earth?
Not flat Earth.
Hollow.
the flat
No, no, no.
earthers are moving on, right? They've moved on to the hollow earth theory
Okay.
where they're you know, like there's just been too much science, like too much easily reproducible science.
Is Earth like one of those Easter bunny hollow chocolate things where everything
Yes.
inside of it's just like nerds or something?
No,
Not even
it's,
No,
nerds.
there's
it's
got-
where the
empty.
lizard people are, Jay.
Yeah, it's got to be lizard people down there, right?
Yeah. They're secretly running the
Right.
earth. They're running the whole planet.
The
Okay.
lizards from
Yeah.
the middle of the earth.
They actually tell the Illuminati what to do, and the Illuminati, you know, like LL Cool J and
LL
LeBron
Cool J?
James. You didn't know
Oh
LL
my
Cool J
God.
was part of the Illuminati? I got a YouTube video for you.
I didn't know. I did not know that.
If this
Vanilla
is your
Ice.
first time listening to the Destiny Community Podcast, welcome.
This is why Briar didn't want a camera on.
No, he doesn't want the lizards to
I
find him.
don't want LL
Yeah,
Cool
wait,
J to
are
find
we
me.
sure this is Briar? Are we sure this is Briar
This is a
speaking to
deep
us?
fake. The deep fake Briar.
It might be AI. Briar's straight AI. How was everyone else's week that didn't spend it on conspiracy rabbit holes?
I was on vacation. It was great.
Really? Where'd you
Oh,
go?
Yeah,
nice.
I was just in the mountains in Colorado.
Ooh,
was
what were you doing
perfect.
up there? Hiking, camping?
Yeah,
What were you doing?
just hiking in Telluride. It was fun.
Nice.
We'd never been to that area before, and it was our first trip with our 3-year-old. So it was a good time. He toughed out all the hikes with the adults, and
Oh,
yeah, everybody was like, "Whoa!" Like he's chugging along, and of
So
course, like
Ray-
we put him in the backpack afterwards too. Yeah, 3. Yeah, but so we had like one of those
Nice.
carry backpacks they hang out in the back of, and so we'd let him hike like most of the way up, and then we'd put him in once he got
Wow.
too tired. So it was fun though.
So tell me, as an Australian, I'm always worried about things that kill me. What do you have to be
Mm.
worried about when you're hiking? Like, they're bears and shit? or
Bear-
Definitely
what?
grizzly
Yeah.
bears.
We
Oh,
had bear
definitely.
spray with us. Yeah.
take
coyotes,
bear
mountain
spray?
lions.
Uh-huh. Nah, we
See,
didn't see
America's
anything
more
along there.
dangerous than Australia.
Yeah, but at least we
I-
got a
oh.
fighting chance. They don't like wait in our shoes. Like there's no grizzly bears like waiting in my shoes to like.
There's not a grizzly bear
Well,
in my shoe. Wait,
Well,
Brian,
Brian.
You have a
When
fighting
we
chance
got
against a
back,
grizzly?
when we got back after all this, we actually our kid was like, I still want to go on a hike, and we are like, okay, well, let's just go walk
Oh.
down the street.
Yeah.
Literally, walk down the street, and there was a coral snake, like one of the most venomous snakes in the
Oh,
world, like
geez.
dead in the road. I was like, well,
See,
we could have stepped on that. This is
How
more
it
dangerous here
belongs.
than it was
Dead.
there.
So what kind of bears is
Grizzly.
in that area? Is it grizzly bears?
It was only black bears in that area. Like
Oh,
they
okay.
said, we didn't have to worry about grizzly bears. So
Good.
yeah, if it was grizzly bears, I would be a little more freaked out.
black bears go swimming in people's pools and just like
Yeah.
hang out and stuff. They're
You
cute.
just be loud.
Black
Not
bears
dangerous.
are mostly harmless, except in the rare occasion when they're not.
When
You
they're
still-
a mama and they got some cubs.
You don't want to
Oh,
fuck with
yeah.
them,
How-
but they normally don't want to fuck with you either.
How effective is bear spray?
It's pretty effective.
Like you just like what distance are we talking to be spraying?
I think it's 30 feet. Is that right?
I don't want to find out. That's all I know.
Like, I
Right.
haven't tested it in Milan, haven't gone out and tried to
But you
spray
ta-
some bears
like-
in it.
Like, is that like standard? You take bear spray with you, like
Yeah.
if you're hiking? Like, is that like
Yeah.
pretty standard? Right.
Most of the time,
Yeah,
though,
so we,
like,
we just take our flip flops and we see it's like bonk.
I feel like most of the time you hear stories about like friends who hike and stuff. They talk about how they just like get real big if it's a black bear, like make a lot of noise and it just runs away. It's just scared of people, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
But then we've
yeah.
also seen videos of like people who come across a grizzly bear and they just gotta act like they're dead, just on the ground, and like you see the bear go by, and it's like if they would have stood up, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, grizzly bears are a different thing. It's really not a great option with a grizzly bear if it decides it wants to get a piece of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Chuck a bag of cocaine. That's what they're for.
Yeah. True.
If I've learned anything
I
from
don't know,
Hollywood,
like Quaaludes or something.
I
Like,
don't
having a
know if
downer.
I don't know if I have a better chance against a coked up bear.
Yeah, I'm not looking at my chances. Now this bear wants to tell me all about its business plans for the next 5 years.
Oh God, the bear's into crypto.
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes.
well, then I
Nice.
came back from vacation and I got the world drop in Destiny that I've been looking for,
Ooh.
which was the sidearm with perpetual
Ugh.
motion kill clip. And I
Nice.
was like,
Oh my
after
God.
I'd been searching for it for like I'd been keeping track of my world drops to see how bad they were. I'd been through over 100 of them, and
Jesus.
finally, just randomly one dropped, and it was the exact roll I wanted. I was
Oh,
like, okay,
perfect.
I'm out.
Uh,
Done.
I think Destiny literally has an algorithm. Like if you've logged off for like a week,
Yeah.
it bumps up the exotic drop rate. It bumps up the god roll drop rate.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's
Yes.
it's like the poker
Totally.
machine. You get the first win, you bang, and
Yeah.
you're back in.
Yep.
Yeah, tries to get that
I
dopamine
totally
think
running
so.
again. So
Yeah,
before
get
we
that
move on to
dopamine.
Destiny, I gotta ask you, Lego, if you've heard of the missing 411.
No.
So this is another conspiracy theory of that FDR he set up the National Park Service to keep us out of like these wilderness areas in America where the Wendigo is, and it's built to like keep us out of these areas, and like that's why like if you look at all the National Park Service and like the National Park Service like rangers and everything, they know about this, and that's why they close parks at certain times of the year to keep you out, like stuff like that. But a lot of
have heard
like
about
kids
this.
go missing and stuff like that.
I don't know what you're talking about, Briar.
Oh, you gotta.
At all.
You guys are on the wrong part of YouTube.
He's in some algorithm now.
He's in the
I am
algorithm.
definitely in the algorithm.
Feeding him.
Yep.
The problem with so many conspiracy theories is like they boil down to racism like real fast.
Oh yeah.
But this one I don't think does. This one is all about like the National Park Service, like, and like, like when to go and like cryptids and all this awful stuff. It's fun. But you got to keep your eye on your kids when you're at the parks.
A rocket launcher, right? Or a grenade launcher, right?
Okay, this is getting a bit like, Yeah, you see what you've done now? We're in conspiracy mode, but this did happen, and it was a good ending. But people were camping in Western Australia in a pretty remote part. There's still camps and stuff like that. They were in the tent. Their kid was in the back portion of the tent, in like a cot or whatever. I think they were only, I don't know, 2 years old, something like that. Maybe it wouldn't be in a cot, but they were young. Someone went in the tent and abducted the kid
Oh my god!
when they was leaving.
From the back
They
of the
found
tent.
him. Thankfully, they found him.
him?
The guy was, yeah. It was like it was living close by. Like there's obviously rural houses close by, and they got him because he was buying like nappies at the shop. They're like,
Oh
this
my
dude
god!
doesn't. This dude.
That's
doesn't have
like-
a kid.
That's the worst when people abduct kids.
Oh,
Like I
man.
can't stand it.
We
It just freaks me out.
because we go camping every Easter. We're like, oh my god, and
imagine
we
that?
just started going with Leo, and like we put him in the tent, to go to bed at 7 o'clock, and then you're out there sinking beers by the fire. You're like, fuck me.
I can't even
anyway,
watch
yeah.
movies where like that like part of a movie where the parents realize that the kid is missing,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
have to like watch that like kind of anguish
That
like
turmoil.
Yeah.
roll
Oh,
over them. Like I
yeah.
can't even watch it. It's like
Yeah.
watching the
It's
dog
different.
die. I can't do it. I
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we've got any? Jay, do you have like?
I have one thing. I try to stay
go on.
away from conspiracy theories as a whole. Like but fun fact, the guy who started QAnon,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
started it all,
Yeah.
went to my high school and was a year younger than me.
What's
or
his
is a
name?
year younger than me.
Oh.
I don't know his name because I didn't know him in school, but
Oh, okay.
a bunch of my friends are like, oh yeah, I knew them. They went to like parties and stuff with people I knew. He wasn't like a dumb guy. Like,
I thought he was in like Madagascar or something.
no, nope. Michael
I don't
T.
know what
Washington,
you're talking about.
baby.
Started what?
You don't know about QAnon?
You don't know about
No.
QAnon?
Oh, man.
Oh,
Jesus.
Lord.
Michael
Ooh,
T.
boy,
Washington.
that is a
You
deep
can't go into
hole.
all that.
It's a high,
That's how you
it's a
get
higher
in the hole.
income. It's a higher income area and a higher income school and stuff too. It's
Hmm.
Is this something I
Perhaps
shouldn't
a,
Google? Otherwise, like
Republican
you'll fucking
area?
never see me again. Move on.
TLDR,
Mhm.
the government is getting overthrown any second now.
Yes,
Copy that.
by like
Any second.
a Kennedy who's been dead for 30 years.
Copy that. Okay, chat's warning me against Googling. Okay, I'm fine.
What's
I mean,
wrong
I've
with
been-
Googling it?
Oh,
QAnon
yeah.
it's not a bad thing to Google.
I mean, you're definitely gonna get put on a list though.
Yeah.
There's a documentary. Watch the
There
documentary.
is. Did you see that
I mean,
documentary?
Brian,
Jay?
we're already on the list because someone's definitely watching you, and they're watching this podcast going, yeah, he's converting them. Like, yeah, this is how it starts.
Uh,
Listen, the Hollow Earth is real.
I mean,
are they chocolate lizards at least?
Briar's like, well, that was a real good argument in this video that I saw this one time.
the
So
lizard people have to live somewhere. All right,
Destiny.
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 Mylan, what the heck happened this week in Destiny? The big finale of this season's story.
Final week. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
final week.
You know what happened?
So to set it up, there is one more lore entry. So there might be an epilogue. There are more radio messages to come as well. We can sort of see there's more radio messages inbound, but the main seasonal quest line with, you know, Eris and Zivu and Imaru and Savathun is complete. So we introduced by Cora and Eris, like, it's a final tithe, like, this is the final week, hint, hint. We fight off the Leviathan Eater. In a previous week, we met the Leviathan Eater. They date back to the Fundament, the Books of Sorrow. They killed the Leviathan from the Fundament, who was like a agent of the light, and sort of tried to stop people from pairing with the worm gods. The Leviathan Eater killed them at a later time, and we fought them in a previous week, and we didn't kill them. They ran away. We sort of considered a win, and then this week we take them out, and then we get a cutscene with Eris Morn and Akora, and Akora had been instructed to get something from the tower, and she transmatted in Savathun's body. We pressure Imaru to revive Savathun. Remember, Imaru kind of in the previous weeks was like, yeah, I don't really care if we revive Savathun. He was kind of in a position like, I lead the Lucent Hive. I'm kind of living my best life. No one's telling me what to do. You know, I can take it or leave it. Pressure him. He revives Savathun. Savathun has a great little couple of quips, you know, says to Eris, "You're looking good, honey." Like, it suits ya, that kind of deal. And then Eris does a big old backhand with some sort of sword,
A little
hammer,
stick thing.
yeah,
Little pickaxe or whatever.
little
Yeah,
pickaxe,
that's
yeah,
what
like
it's
some
like.
sort of Viking pickaxe hivey thing. Cuts her throat, one tap, so literally one shot. Like, everyone was screaming, she's one shot, actually one shot, and gets all that tribute from killing Savathun, which is a nice callback to the Books of Sorrow, because Oryx did something very similar. He actually killed Savathun and killed Zivu Wrath. There's actually a really cool scene when Oryx kills Savathun and Zivu, like, because he wants to get enough power to kill Akka and then get the power to take. That's how he becomes a taking king. And like, Savathun's like, yeah, you can kill me. And she's got like a knife behind her back. She's like, yeah, go on, kill me. And she's about to like do her normal trickery and cunning. And Oryx like dodges it and just basically chops her head off. And then they don't die because they got a throne world, but he still gets all that power from killing them. And that's essentially what we do. So we bring Savathun back. Eris kills her, gets all that power because Savathun hasn't been killed by another hive. So sort of tithed all that energy from Savathun and apparently overtakes Zivu for a split second. Actually is the number one most powerful hive
Most
ever.
tithed hive.
Most tithed hive. Like, Akora's like, that's the greatest hive I've ever seen. You know, like she's uber powerful, and we don't quite know what she does. She has this little bit of dialogue. She says, and later we'll find out when we go see Eris what she did. And she says that she separated Zivu Wrath from her throne world. So for those who don't know, to kill the hive, like Pantheon, the hive gods, you got to kill them in reality. Then you got to kill them in their throne world. So, you know, that's how we killed Oryx.
Yeah.
We killed him on the Dreadnought, which is convoluted in itself because the Dreadnought was his throne world. He'd mixed realities together, so to speak. So that's why we kill Oryx in the campaign, and then when you do the raid, you go to his throne world, which was a Dreadnought, and you kill him in that. Similarly to killing Savathun, which I don't really know how it works once you're a Guardian, but yeah, we killed Savathun in a throne world as well. So now it means that I would still say like Zivu is immortal, but we have to jump through like less hoops to kill her. We don't have to like find her throne world and go into her throne world and do that. It's sort of like wherever she is, we can duke it out, and she will have a final death, so to speak. I don't think it really impacts. Like, she'll still get all the energy from war, and I guess it kind of implies that too. Like, Eris says, like, for a brief moment, you know, she was the most powerful, and then obviously more killing and stuff's happening. So then Xivu continues to grow and be stronger. So I don't think, I don't think Eris is like she's not the strongest anymore. Then she basically like what'd she say? She like rejected something, and then it just broke. It broke the bond with like Usa and she's no longer, a hive god kind of deal. But then if you left it there, you missed the fucking back end because another thing happened off screen.
Which I was
then you
confused
gotta go
about, by the way. Very
Which,
confused about.
is a thing
Yeah.
to talk about
Really
in
weird.
itself.
Yeah, because I think Eris hints at it, or is it Ikora? Or maybe it's a radio message afterwards. Talks about Savathun being revived. And you're like, yeah, I know Savathun's revived. I saw her revived. But they're really talking about reviving her again.
After. Yeah.
Yeah, after.
I was confused about that.
Pretty big.
Yeah, bit of a I mean, it's classic Bungie sometimes, but we can talk about it. People like the ending. I thought it was pretty good, but yeah. So off screen, Savathun is revived again and leaves Imaru as like collateral with the Vanguard under Eris Morn's watch. And because remember the whole point was to work out how to follow the witness. The whole point of reviving Savathun was to get the information to get through the portal to follow the witness. So in the lore entry, Savathun does a normal thing and just goes, I've already given you the answer. You know how to do it. When the time comes, you'll know. And the girl's like, well, that's dog shit. I don't know like what you mean. And for whatever reason, we sort of just accept that we have the answer and the solution to follow the witness, but we just don't quite know it yet. And they let Savathun go. So she's out there just, how tall is she?
Chilling.
Big 8-foot hive mummy just walking around.
With no ghost.
With no ghost. Yeah, with no ghost. So we don't know how to follow the witness yet. Well, yeah.
We do.
Well, we do, but we don't. Apparently we do, but we don't. I made comment on this in my video. I thought because obviously a lot of the seasons are developed in parallel. You got expansions, being developed, and you've got like DLCs being developed, this kind of stuff. And I do wonder whether they had worked out we're getting through the portal, whether it was like, hey, just maybe stall for a bit longer. Then again, I mean, this season is quite far ahead of the final shape, so maybe they just want to reveal it. They wanted to leave something a bit unanswered, unexplained for the next season, which is, what they always do. I think it was probably the best way to end this season. Like, I didn't think we we're going to see Xivu or fight Xivu. The whole separating throne worlds was a bit left field, but I think it's a cool solution. You kind of just got to assume that Eris worked it out from Savathun's experiments in the Spire, and there was a lore entry about her throne worlds, and she was sort of looking into it. But previously, there hadn't really been a lot of information about just like cutting a tie between a hive god and a throne world. So it was a bit of a magic bullet moment, but at the same time, I think if they hinted at it, like everyone would have called it really early too. So it was a nice story surprise. Like, oh, that's kind of interesting that she just got uber powerful and removed her from her throne world.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it. Is I really enjoyed the ending of it. Like when I finally realized what happened, I'm like, oh shoot, like that's really awesome that Eris decided to handle it that way with her power. But then I wish that I just would have known it in that moment, like when she was chanting the stuff and then it was over. I was like, okay, what did we do? And then you go and talk to her later and she's like, oh, I did this. And you're like, oh, that's badass. Like, I wish I would have felt that way when you were doing it, but I had no idea what was going on. And that's really my only complaint, but I like that ending. I just wish I would have had that feeling when it was happening, that gut punch of Xivu. But I understand story constraint why they can't show Xivu yet because we don't really know what Xivu looks like. In the whatever when we finally face her, we don't know what form she's gonna take it. But if they could have shown that, like that actually happening instead of just telling us about it, or even just us understanding it in that moment. Either one, it just would have punched a little harder and made more of a
Yeah.
significant in that cutscene.
When I went back and listened to Eris's dialogue again, it makes complete sense. Like once you know the outcome, like what she says is like spot on, but it is a little bit cryptic when you first listen to it. Like she says like cyst world, which is like another reference to the Books of Sorrow. Like when the throne worlds are first created, that's how they describe it. It's just like cyst worlds, and she actually says like I'm banishing you, like your cyst world or whatever it is, or like I'm banishing you, and you're like what? And then it's like once you realize she's talking about throne worlds, it actually makes a lot of sense. So it does get better watching it back a second time.
You know,
But in the moment, I was like, yeah, I don't know what she's done here. I paid attention to a chorus saying, she's so powerful. That's cool. I was like, okay, but just now you haven't solved the problem yet. Like,
yeah, it reminds me a lot of what happened in Forsaken whenever you first play through that campaign. Because isn't the servitor at the inn, the weird looking one, isn't it called something of Riven whenever you get to it? And at the time when you play it, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I know I defeated this thing, and then later on you fight Riven, and you're like, oh, like that's what that was about, you know? And that it kind of feels like you get the monologue from Eris, and you're like, oh, that's what she did. I want to have those. I feel like sometimes Destiny falls in this thing where they explain it later instead of in the moment, and I really want to have that emotional impact of being sucked into the world and being like, oh, Eris just did this amazing move, and like I really like it narratively. I just wish I would have felt it.
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah.
The final cutscene was very captivating. Sometimes I have a habit of like kind of glossing past some of the stuff that they talk about during the season, but I was very focused on, you know, obviously the Savathun stuff. And then I went and listened to the radio messages after. And first I was confused. I was like, wait, what? And then second, I was just like, they just made this whole spectacle, right? And then they fit this very important tidbit, and they're like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about her. She's not going to be a problem anymore." I'm like, "Bull honky!" Like, I know Bungie way too well to think that she's just going to like disappear into some. No, she's coming back, and it's going to be, you know, whether it's with us or against us or whatever. I don't know. It just felt very kind of flat there at the end.
Mylan,
Yeah,
how
I think-
hard
I
is
think
it for a hive to create a throne world? Can they just create another one, or like is it one and done?
So this is what Eris was like. One of the lore cards actually talks about. So originally, their throne worlds were just like accidentally created because they just became so powerful. That's sort of how it was described. Is like Oryx's will was so strong, he just persisted beyond death. And when he died, he's like, "Oh, what's this place?" And they're like, "Oh, it's your throne world, ding dong." Like, yeah, you don't die now because you're so strong. And then obviously people replicated that. So Mara Sov created a throne world with a wish from Kara Riven. That's how Mara did it. And then who was the Scorn that had one of the Scorns made a throne world right from killing Cade 6 and using Hive magic. So this is why one of my theories was Eris was going to make her own throne world because she was sort of examining how hard it was to do that, and she was going to, I don't know, intentionally lose to Xivu and then come back stronger as like vengeance and then have enough like power to like beat her. But they went down the other route, which was like disconnecting Xivu from her throne world. So how hard is it? I mean, it seems possible to do it again because other people have. I mean, that's probably a good question if you just reconnects.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that maybe that's the plot line. Like, maybe because I also thought, why would you, as like Bungie and as like the artists and the concept designers, like, why would you get rid of throne worlds? Because it lets you do anything.
True.
Throne worlds are like a blank canvas. You don't have to stay on the planets. You don't have to make a new planets. You make a portal and you could be anywhere. Like, so, you know, it kind of felt like, I would have expected a raid for Xivu to be like, when we fight Xivu, to be in a throne world because you could just do cool, funky stuff in there. A little bit like going into the Traveler, right? That just gives them license to do whatever they want.
Right. Yep.
So maybe she
Oh.
will try. Maybe she will try to reconnect. So we have to stop that reconnection and go into the throne world and like capture it for ourselves or something like that.
Maybe that's next season.
You know,
Probably the episodes.
that
Maybe half
reminds
the
me
final
of
chapter.
something else that happened in, I think it was something that Ikora said, like, yeah, we have Zivu going on, but we need to focus on the witness first. And it made me think like, oh, narratively, like, we're not going to deal with Zivu till after Final Shape. That's what, when Ikora was talking, what it made it sound like. And so I wonder if we are going to fight the witness before we even get to Zivu.
Yeah. I think Ziva's probably going to be in that heresy episode or whatever, post Final Shape. Yeah. I mean, we haven't really got a hint on what the next season is. I'm expecting that we'll get a teaser at some point, or sometimes Bungie does teasers. Sometimes they just drop it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be like a couple of days or a week before or something. Maybe we'll have a
Yeah.
lead in or something like that, storyline wise.
Yeah.
I was gonna say though,
Because yeah, like sometimes we know where the next season's going to go because they leave it so open ended, like it needs to like continue on. But the only real thing that needs to continue on is like we're still just trying to work out how to get to the witness, right? And Sabathun's told us we have the information we need, we just haven't like accessed it yet. So it could go anyway.
and a
It's
little
like my
unrelated,
eighth grade
but
Spanish teacher.
it's a little unrelated, but it's a big deal that Eris didn't let that power consume her, right?
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Because she kind of touched on it. She's like, I didn't, she's like, I rejected it or something like that is what she said. But I don't know. Because we've been talking about, and I'm sure you have as well, Mylan, like how it could be leading up to Eris kind of like kind of going against us and becoming evil and
Yeah.
stuff, which felt
Yeah.
too obvious. And then they're like, okay, no. But it was really interesting to me that she's like the most powerful hive in the world, and she just was like, yeah, no thanks. Pass.
Yeah, exactly. Like Bungie was really um hinting about the Eris going down the dark future and how angry Elsie was, and most people thought it was bait, but it was getting to the point where it was so prolific in the lore that we're like, maybe they are going to do this. And then yeah, even this week she was debating with Ikora. I'm pretty sure Eris is like, yeah, tell Elsie that I'm not going to fall for this power or whatever. And then yeah, she didn't, and now she's thriving. Eris is happy.
Right.
She's better than she's ever been. She's healing.
Very
She gonna stop
interesting.
crying finally?
Hey, listen here, Mr. Conspiracy Theory.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
There's
No,
story.
I'm just having a look. Is there some audio stuff going on? Because my headset's been crackling. I don't know if it's me, not Lego. If that's what the chat's saying.
Yeah, some people were saying I was cracking, so I changed some stuff. Hopefully it
I
fixes
still
it.
hear it. I wasn't sure if it was.
It
mine.
might be a
Dang.
Discord thing. It seems to happen sometimes.
I can
with
leave and
Discord
come
stuff.
back if I need to.
Don't leave us. I'm scared to be alone.
Don't leave.
Here, let me try it real quick.
We can
I would
try.
just unplug your cable and your microphone and plug it back in first.
Yeah, I'll try that. Y'all keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, that's the story. So
That's the story.
how many more weeks? When's the next season? I don't even know the dates.
I do not know. When is the next season? It
I'm
tells you in
looking.
game. I'm not
I
game.
don't know.
Yeah.
Anyone know? Who knows? Yeah. So I mean,
November
probably
28th.
November.
Almost.
November.
It's like a month and a half.
Holy, we got a bit of time.
Yeah.
We wrapped up that season early, huh? 28th. Okay. So I'm guessing we're gonna get a little bit more. We're obviously gonna get more radio messages and maybe an epilogue leading into next season. Talk about the new story.
Yeah,
whatever
that's
the
a ways away.
next thread is. Yeah.
That is a ways
well.
away.
There you go. Enjoy. Now people can like don't feel tied to Destiny. You can
Oh,
play
your
some other
October's
games.
free. Yeah, Spider-Man's coming out. Assassin's Creed just came out. Lords of the Fallen next week. You got Alan Wake coming out later. Like,
Loki premieres tonight.
oh, that's tonight.
Saying.
Oh, really?
I
This
did
is
enjoy
it
the
season
first one.
two?
I
Yeah.
did too.
With my favorite
Yeah.
indie directors too, they're taking over the series, so I'm very excited.
Really?
Nice.
And
Mhm.
finally go watch the new Paw Patrol movie without feeling bad. There you go. Yeah.
I always feel bad when I watch Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol. God.
How could they make such
Okay.
cute little puppies cops? What a mean thing to do.
They're not all cops. It's just the one or two.
Should we talk about the
what
twab?
else has been? Yeah, what else has been happening?
There wasn't any
We talked-
twab.
Sure
There was a
was.
twab. There was the economy team
Like
hopped
upset.
on to
Ooh.
talk about some
Again.
stuff. Yes.
Again.
So this was basically about exotic focusing. I think was basically what all of this was about.
Mhm.
So it just says here in closing, here are the new and lower exotic focusing costs that will be implemented on October 17th. So tier 1 is 30,000 glimmer and 10 enhancement prisms. Tier 2 is 60,000 glimmer and 2 ascendant shards.
They basically were saying that they didn't want it to feel too difficult for casual players and they didn't want it to be too easy for hardcore players. Basically,
Right.
they were just tuning that.
Yeah, because I found it really funny because they were like, we're kind of realizing that your average kind of casual player doesn't have a lot of ascendant shards. And I'm like, yeah, you really? It's just now realizing? It's like we've been
mean, not
talking
even
about this for a
casual,
long
like-
time.
I don't even have like if I want ascendant shards, I gotta purposely go out and like, hey, chat, can you help me do
GMs
grandmasters?
or master raids or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something you just get from playing the game. You got to specifically do activities, end game activities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that I think we've brought up for a long time of it would be nice to have more ascendant shards scattered throughout so players, solo players can get it.
Ooh, they should put them
Because
in
it's
lost
really
sectors.
hard for them.
Ah!
Wait, are they doing it?
No!
Isn't that what they're doing? Wasn't that part of the change we
That
got in
was
the 12?
it was a different resource. It was it ascendant. It wasn't shards and prisms. It was something else. What was it?
No. Okay.
It was the gunsmith materials. That's what it was.
Ah, right.
The,
Yep.
the new change. they're making
Gunsmith
to the
engrams,
focusing
yep.
stuff.
Which I'm a
I
little
look-
about, but I'm not gonna go into. Because it doesn't let you focus the new stuff still. It's just
Mhm.
taking
Yeah.
out some of the old stuff. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, that doesn't
And not all
really
of it
help.
either. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna talk
Right.
about it.
So cheaper.
Yeah, cheaper.
Cheaper.
So remind me, is tier one's like you pick the expansion or whatever, like a group of exotics, and tier two is
Yeah.
like the specific exotic that you want to reroll.
Yep.
So 60,000 glimmer and 60,000 glimmer is still big with the cap set. What's the cap?
Yeah.
200.
200. Yep.
200. 2 ascendant shards. Okay. Okay.
It's
Go-
pretty like a pretty specific thing though. Like if you're turning these in and focusing stuff, you're just going for a high stat exotic armor. Like is kind of
Yeah.
what you're going for, right? Like that's the only reason you would do this. So in that sense, I understand. It's like re-rolling a weapon, kind of just for your exotic armor.
I think that
piece.
feels better though, doesn't it? Like that
Yeah.
seems reasonable.
Yeah.
You basically just got to go farm some GMs and then like roll them out. But you can only hold 10 ascendant shards, right? So that's you only get 5 rolls.
Can you hold more now? Right?
I don't know. I haven't had ascendant shards in a long time.
I'm gonna look how many
That
I have
involves
now.
that involves
You can hold more.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, can you? All right.
You had a whole you had a moaning minute about this, Mylan, where people were able
Legendary
to hold.
shards.
No, ascendant shards.
This is the start of the season or
I had a
something.
moaning
moaning
right?
minute about getting rid of legendary shards.
You had a moaning minute about ascendant shards when they made the change because people were like,
Did I?
"Well, if I'm on 3 characters, I can hold more ascendant shards in my
Oh.
postmaster."
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do remember now.
I've got 30
Yeah.
right now, so yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
right. That's
Yep.
right. Wow. Okay. What else?
We had the mid-season armor and weapons preview. So we have upcoming season 22 exotic armor balance changes, starting with Antaeus wards.
Yes.
Oh, why are they
Oh,
doing this
yeah.
to me favorite exotic? Come on now. There's nothing wrong with it.
Reflective Vents now requires full class ability to deploy. Following deactivation of Reflective Vents, your class ability energy is drained proportional to the amount of damage reflected, and it no longer provides an improved slide.
Oh, bullshit.
The only person upset about it is
I'm
Milo.
so happy about
The
this.
only person in the world.
Where's me Titans at? Where's me Titans at? Come on,
Even
man.
Titans are like, yeah, no.
They
you're
could have
alone
nerfed
on
it
that one.
harder and it would have been fine, honestly.
Yeah. We then have Young Ahamkara's Spine, where they've reduced the Trip Mine Grenade's bonus health from
Good.
100 to 70 and removed the bonus 50% damage resistance.
Good.
And grenade energy is now provided on ability kills instead of damage.
Good. Take that, you stinky hunters.
That one's a little rough. I don't
Nah,
even play.
bullshit.
No. Okay,
No,
I don't even
people-
play that
People were
subclass.
upset about it for PvE.
Yeah.
especially.
Oh, okay.
So mainly,
That's fair.
like, I think the health thing is great because that is really frustrating in PvP
Yeah.
to sit there forever trying to take it out. But the grenade energy provided on ability kills instead of damage with abilities, what I thought they might change it to is like, well, yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth on it. It's just such a big nerf to have both of those things together at the same time hit it. So I understand like
It
people
was
being a
very
little
impressive
upset.
in PvP because those
It
things
is,
just sit
yeah.
on the map
It is.
forever, and you gotta like, put 2 entire clips into it to like
Yeah.
blow them up or whatever.
It definitely needed a nerf for PvP for sure. I've seen a lot of PvE players who just really enjoyed using the build because you could just throw the trip mines over and over
Yeah,
again because you get it
yeah.
back from damage. So it does kind of kill a fun build in PvE, which is
Why didn't
unfortunate.
they just change it? Do the PvP separate? We know they can do that stuff now.
I don't know.
I think that one is one that would be tough to do. Like if it's like
Yeah.
amount of damage and stuff, they can change that or
Sure.
timers. But this
Yeah.
is
How the
that-
exotic works as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing they
Okay.
could have done is, like cut down just the time thing. The health. If you cut down the bonus health, because that's like, you don't care about that. But yeah, the other one I think would be very difficult to separate.
So like I was
yeah.
just thinking, how does that really just nerfs PvE? Because if you're getting hit with a trip mine in PvP, you're always going to get the kill, right?
No.
Most of the time you don't survive it, do you?
No,
Yeah.
you survive. It leaves you like one, just with a little bit of health left every time. It's just
Right.
that you only
So
get the
basically
kill if
not
they're
max
primed.
health, right.
Yeah. So I think that's the way they want you to use is like, oh, well, you get it back if you have someone primed and then you toss the grenade and get them behind cover, then you get it back,
Right.
sort of deal.
Okay.
Next we have some weapon balancing. So SMGs, they are increasing recoil globally by 10%. And they're reducing the mouse and keyboard stability bonus from 20% to 10%.
Great change.
As a controller player, I'm a little sad at this because it's
Yeah.
already pretty unstable as with controller. From
I don't know.
anything that's not super close range.
No, I know, but you can literally just spec out in range completely on an SMG and not like the
With
amount of
mouse and
stability you
keyboard,
have.
right? That was their whole point.
No, on controller. I'm talking about controller. Like I'm a controller player, and I just feel like it doesn't. Or are you talking about mouse and keyboard for you?
No, I'm controller player. I have a
Okay,
hard
me too.
time- I personally have a hard time using SMGs from anything other than like 10 feet.
Okay. I think there's a vast there's a vast number of PvP players at the top who are using SMGs without any stability at all. Like that's what they look
Right.
for is just as much range as possible. And I think this is trying to get that crowd. And so, but I understand like for those that are already speccing into stability, this kind of sucks because it's like, oh well, this is just a recoil, nerf to myself.
Yeah.
Is this
it
just
does
trying to
comment-
create more separation between SMGs and auto rifles?
No, more like between the stats itself. Like right now,
Okay.
no
Yeah.
one cares. Or not no one, but a lot of people don't care about stability, and
Stability
so
on the
they're
SMGs,
just
yeah.
they're just going for the range. That's why you see everyone
Okay.
with their immortals with just tons of range on it. This is trying to be like, hey, we don't want you to map everyone just only speccing into range. You have to get into the other stats if you want to play good with this weapon.
I mean, that being said, though, this is going to be easier when they bring in what they call deterministic patterns or whatever, the
Yeah.
recoil
Yeah.
patterns. Like you
That'll
will be
help.
able to learn whatever recoil pattern is off the SMG, and
But you're
Mhm.
gonna
hold
have
that
to learn
direction on the
each weapon.
thumbsticks.
So like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's archetype, right? Is it archetype or
no,
is it
I think it's
the
each weapon.
actual weapon?
It's each weapon, I
Yeah.
Right.
think.
I mean, keyboard and mouse is silly I mean, I'm on keyboard and mouse with SMGs. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's a laser.
Yeah.
I was
Doesn't
just-
matter what stats are on it.
My perception, Lego, and why my comment was there is because they specifically call out mouse and
Right.
keyboard in that paragraph as what they're targeting. So
Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel like I'm thankful for it in controller too, and that's why I took the other side there. But I also do understand it is way easier on mouse and keyboard, as Mylan's saying. It's like a laser, and it's not like that on controller. But you can compensate and get some really crazy kills from way further than it feels like you should. And it's why I feel like
sure,
SMGs have been so hot in PvP for so long.
it should be a
right.
close to mid range weapon for from
Mhm.
the design standpoint. I honestly
Mhm.
wish that we could turn down aim assist for controller. Like sometimes it's obnoxious, like because you can't control it.
Get a
As a
slick
mouse
draw.
and keyboard player,
Slick
I
draw
agree.
and,
Yeah, it is obnoxious.
We do have a Blue Westlo ready to join us. So
Okay.
I'm gonna
we can
grab
put a pause on this.
grab and drag. Hello.
Hello.
I forgot I had that.
Wait, you're your own hype man. Nice.
That was great.
Chat.
Blue.
Hi. Do I need to turn anything on? Like a
No, you don't.
camera?
No.
No, you don't. You don't have to. Briar
Are
doesn't
you
even.
sure?
You don't need one.
You
There's
can if you
multiple of
want
us-
to.
There's multiples of us on stream now. Lego.
Oh.
Briar's working it out right now.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
working it out,
Right,
working the frames
He's
out.
working behind the scene.
I like it. I feel like I need
The
to do the Mr.
Brady
DNA
Bunch.
thing.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Thanks for joining us, Blue.
Hi, friends. How you guys doing?
God, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Emotionally, I don't know, probably like I don't know, like seasonal discomfort, but like otherwise pretty chill.
Mm.
Yeah, nice. Do you want to introduce the topic, Wads? Like why we got Blue on and all that?
Yeah, so obviously we'd love to have Blue on anyway, because Blue's great. But over the week, Bungie put out a tweet talking about how they've made a Latin club. You know how they have like Black at Bungie, they have Trans at Bungie, and this was like their Latin at Bungie. And during that tweet, they put out Latin, and then they had OAEX. And this became a huge conversation to the point where you have people like Asmongold making videos about it. It got massive attention. And it's just a discussion about why the Latino community doesn't like the term Latinx. So I wanted to have someone else besides me to talk about it. Otherwise, it's me just like talking to you guys. And you're like, oh, okay. And I saw Blue was on Twitter going to town talking about it. So I thought that Blue would be perfect.
Yeah, it's always me
Nice.
going like really hard on Twitter that gets all the attention, and like none of my really obscure shit posts, but to be fair, they're not very good shit posts, so it's probably for the best. Is that Tefty?
He just wanted to say hi.
He's here
I
in
miss
spirit.
Tefty so much.
Tefty.
Oh, I miss
Yeah.
Tefty.
Me too.
It's a bait, dude. Gonna get people to click in.
I feel like I'm being judged by Tefty now. That's the thing. He's just like,
That's the Tefty
"Thanks for
experience.
waiting."
That is true.
Cop. Tell us your thoughts, Blue, and what you said on Twitter and what you want
Yeah.
to get out there and
Okay, before I do that, I was trying to figure out why my Discord thing wasn't working, because I actually have. Sorry, this is a very serious topic, and I'm being very unprofessional right now.
Okay,
Because I
we
wanted to-
talk about serious stuff while also not being serious. So
yeah. Do you have any conspiracy theories you want to warm up with?
Yeah, that's how we started. So
Do you
We did
think
start
that
with
the
those
FBI
first names.
killed Martin Luther King Jr.?
Okay, see,
That'd be
there
cool.
we go.
Oh, there we
Hey,
go.
yo, awesome.
I don't know why it broke earlier.
Great.
Anyways, okay, yeah. So it was a very big topic. Me and Watts obviously had a nice little Twitter experience with it. I so my issue is kind of the same issue that a lot of people have with the way we discuss the terminology. So for most people, I would say a pretty good percentage of people, the issue has nothing to do with like the term of Latinx. It's not like the concept behind it, but more so the way that it's been introduced, because the phonetically it doesn't make any sense in Spanish, and it pretty much ignores like the entire structure of the language. Nobody exactly knows where the term came from,
Right.
or fully originated from, but because of the way the term is designed, it's very clearly not created by someone who speaks Spanish. A lot of people say it came from Latin Americans in the United States or in an English-speaking country, which is totally fair. But the main issue that I have, and I know Watts has as well, is more so to do with the fact that these terms, like inclusive terms like this, should come from within the community of people who speak the language, versus like people in America who are kind of more so pushing the X terminology onto the language. This is where it gets hard, because you have a lot of like transphobia and homophobia in the Latin community. So you have a lot of people on Twitter coming in and being like, "Oh, like here's this random hateful bigot shit that I'm just gonna spout," being mixed with people who are trying to say like, "Hey, there's much better terms that already exist for non-binary uh, non-binary Latin people and non-binary Hispanic people. They're two different things. I know it gets kind of confusing, but just saying Latin is good. Latina is much better. Asking me to say Latinx will make me want to jump off a cliff. So it's a very nuanced and complicated topic, because you have so many different people talking about how much they hate the term. Like everyone kind of comes together to be like, yeah, this term sucks. But then you have so many different backgrounds of people with so many different intentions on why they hate it. So it's
Right.
it's pretty sensitive, and it's hard to like wade through the people with good intentions and the people who are just kind of like, here's my time to absolutely just show people how phobic I am of 8 different things. So it's
Right.
tough.
Yeah, that's why on Twitter when we were talking about it, I put out another tweet being like, "Hey, I don't want bigots to hijack this conversation for their own agenda, because that's not what it's about. It is a linguistic discussion. It's not a not including trans and non-binary people discussion, and it's really important that you stay focused on what the issue is so that it can be talked about, because it is a very nuanced discussion and it is a sensitive topic, and we need to make sure that it's being talked about like, hey, we want non-binary people and trans people to be included, but it needs to come from within the community and not have someone be like, oh, just put an X in there."
Yeah, to be the dumb, so everyone's on the same page. Like my and yeah, please correct me, is, within the language you have. Do you call it masculine and feminine terms? That Latino and Latina. You change the ending of a word, to denote who you're talking about, and then the X, it was kind of breaks the conventions of the language, right? And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's basically like it's like imagine coming into, imagine like a Spanish speaker like coming into the English language and being like, Yeah, you guys have to roll your R's every time there's an R. It just doesn't make sense phonetically in most English, right? Because like there's not
Right.
exactly
Yeah.
like a lot of positions where
Lorr. I like that.
Yeah.
House.
it's exactly like that. Like telling someone, "Hey, you got to roll your R's when you say that." So, and like it very much comes from. Okay, so this is not like the perspective of an English speaker, right? So that's
Right.
where we and most people who have the problem with the term are coming from. It's
Yeah.
it's essentially asking someone to do something that just doesn't make sense in the language.
Yeah.
And,
It's
and it seems like there was or there. What are the better? You said there were better terms. Like there's already like a way of saying
So
this.
the Spanish language is like very gendered, so it's pretty hard to remove it from
Right.
and in like insert new terms. So like Latino and Latino can already be used as gender neutrally, but obviously it's still
Yeah.
gendered, right?
right.
So like I think a couple of years ago in response to the term Latinx, you had a lot I mean this new term is still pretty progressive, so a lot of people don't really necessarily know it either. But from the Spanish speaking perspective, a lot of people didn't like the term Latinx, so they made the term Latine, which is a much more phonetically makes sense for the language. It's like in the same way you say like estudiante, right? That's
Yeah.
like as gender neutral as you could say.
Yeah.
And so that means student in Spanish, and that doesn't have an O or an A in the end. There's a lot of words like that. So, people introduced that term Latinx specifically because Latinx was like just not the vibe. So
Yeah.
we do have terms that are still, being introduced and adopted, and a lot of people will say, "Well, I've never heard of that word," right? And it's still, the language is evolving in every way, shape, and form to adapt to the current times. But yeah, the core idea is like I'd much rather have something I can pronounce and say in Spanish and was made by Spanish speakers. So
Right.
So that's where it all kind of came from. And of course, Bungie is known to be quite a progressive country. A country, a company. And I don't think they did
How
this
much
with
money did
bad
they get from Sony?
intentions. I don't think they did it with bad intentions. I think probably where they were coming from was like, I'm just going to include every letter in this tweet. Because when you look at like the page for Latin at Bungie, it's all Latin. It just says Latin. It doesn't have O, it doesn't have an A, it doesn't have an X.
which is also a great term. If you just want to say
yeah.
Latin, I don't
Yeah.
think
That works.
not like most people are. It's kind of splitting hairs because right, like technically we're not Latin because like
Right.
Latin originated. Like it is splitting hairs, but like most people, like 99% of people are gonna be like, yeah, like just Latin is fine too. It's a good neutral term.
Yeah.
Right.
I totally broke your momentum, by the way. Sorry.
No,
Well,
no,
I was
you're
just gonna
fine.
comment kind of on what Watts was talking about. I was curious if the internal team that they formed had spoke on this, and if it came from that group, or if it came from like the PR group, or like where this,
Yeah.
Or if somebody just
Yeah.
Kind of
Googled
feels
like,
like
what
they were trying to.
word
Yeah,
should
I
I
was like,
use here, and that's what came up.
they were
Yeah,
trying to be
so
inclusive.
the group is definitely formed of like Latino people.
Mhm.
Um, I think I was surprised. I mean, when it comes to the tweet, I'm sure the team must have had some input
You would
about it. I
think.
guess it's possible that they don't, but I was surprised to see it because I think even if you're not that in touch with the topic, if you're a Latino person, you've heard how much the X is not preferred.
Sure.
So I would have expected someone from there to be like, hey, let's not use the X. How about we just put up Latin at Bungie and just leave it at that?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it seems like such a strange topic from the perspective of a language that has already
Yeah.
been adopting such, like terms that are inclusive and generally speaking, right, like they has been part of the English language for like really like born. Like it's kind of been like pretty big part of the language that was already pretty neutral. So it's tough when coming from the perspective of a language that is so gendered, and there's definitely like fair criticisms of like, is it unfairly masculine centric, but yeah, I mean it's like it's just as simple as if the language evolves, it should be from the culture and the people who speak it versus like adopting the way English has uh made the terms inclusive. It's like you don't like tell like other European languages how they should be using gender inclusive terms.
Right.
But for something like Spanish, people are like, well, check this out. This X is gonna bang, trust.
And X's are cool. It's from Elon.
Yeah, X's are cool.
He's
Oh, you
obsessed
figured
with
it out.
X.
That's where it came from.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and I want to make it super clear that like what me and Blue are talking about has nothing to do with including gay, trans, bi, any kind of people. It's not about the inclusion of people, I think. And it was actually pretty interesting on Twitter because a vast majority of people who were talking to me were like, no, we're like, we love trans people. We love all these people. We just don't like the linguistic part of the argument.
Yeah.
So just want to make that super clear because like Blue said earlier, it is hard to have the conversation because you have people being like, oh yeah, I also hate trans people.
I
And
had
we're like,
so many people in my mentions, and I was like, hey man, you're making it really hard for me to say why I don't like the word, because so
Right.
many people like bandwagon on it, like, yeah man, like those people just suck, and it's like, what do you mean those people?
Exactly.
And then like you have people then like immediately are like, yeah, I'm so tired of this woke stuff, and I was like, cool, I know what type of person you are immediately because you said let's stop with the woke stuff. It's like, great, that's a mute.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Exactly. It's like just like how we don't want the imperialistic Latin X being inserted into Spanish, we also don't want bigots hijacking the conversation to make it about something that it's not. It's a very specific conversation.
Yeah.
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 I think you
didn't
guys did a
realize-
good job at covering it, and thanks for telling us about it.
No, thanks for listening. It's definitely blew up, so I wanted to talk about it because Bungie hasn't talked about it yet. The tweet is still up there. There's been no mention of it, and yeah, it popped off. Everyone was talking about it, and I think they did because Bungie is such an inclusive and progressive company that they were like, how did Bungie mess this up? Like, surely you guys would have known. And then Bungie made it
people love
worse.
hypocrisy. People love
do.
hypocrisy. People love calling Bungie out for getting
Yeah.
stuff wrong when it comes to trying to be inclusive.
And Bungie kind of made it worse because they were hiding some bigoted replies, but there were also replies that they were hiding that were legitimate, just like people talking about their opinion on Latin X. So yeah.
So
and
I'm
now
curious. Go ahead.
the tweet actually has a reader like comment, like reader context from
Yep.
Twitter now, where they have like actually readers say that this is the reason why, and it's more like what Blue's saying here, and it's not any of the bigotry stuff, but it is like actual like the writing pronunciation rules in the Latino language being the reason why, like reading context for it, which for that to go up before like Bungie even responds to what is going on is kind of like, I'm surprised that there hasn't been a response yet. Normally, like the culture there at that company is they're like trying to promote something good. Like you were saying, the intention of it probably was this or that and not thinking about the language. But for them not to come and apologize like immediately, like to
What's
like
the
what is
timing? When
going
did the
on.
original tweet go up?
Do you have the date of it?
The
Wasn't it like
second
Monday?
Yeah.
And today
yeah,
is
it came-
Thursday. And then when did
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
took off the X, right? At some point?
No,
Not
it's
from the
still there.
tweet.
Oh, okay. So that's still on there.
It's a lot of the reason why it probably won't get taken down, and why Bungie probably won't make a response is because one, the X insertion is, while it is like an English insertion, it also makes sense in like the Hispanic American perspective of, oh, I could just throw the X and this could be like a United States specific term. And so a lot of people, which is its own point, and it's not invalid, it's just a little bit disrespectful of the language and the cultures behind it, is that, who cares if someone puts an X behind Latin? It doesn't really matter if someone wants to refer themselves with the X, like it's not a big deal. But it's like, I think there's a way to introduce inclusive terminology that, inclusive terminology is super important. I think there's a way to do that while respecting the culture behind it. This is kind of a recurring thing with languages that are predominantly perceived by Western culture to be from people of color, is that it's like, well, that's cool, but like this is more important type of like one thing has to be more important than the other, instead of just being like, hey, we can introduce inclusive terminology while still respecting that your culture has these things. Your language is so gendered. We can have like a proper discussion about how to include these terms. But it's I mean, you'll see this with a lot of other brown cultures, is how it's like, hey, like your culture is cool and all, but check this out. This is like, culture's cool, but this is more important. And it's like, hey, no, we can do both at the same time, guys. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
So what do you think the appropriate response is for Bungie now? An
Gonna be
apology
my question.
and like take the tweet down?
It's tough because, and I think this is another reason why Bungie won't talk about it, is because of the whole transphobic angle of people using
Yes.
this.
Okay.
I think it would be good for them to say, we understand the discussion around adding X, and go from there. I think they could say it in a way that's very clear of what their intentions were.
It sounds like it's a bit of a minefield.
It is. It
definitely
definitely
is.
is. It's like you have to be so specific about what you're talking about. So yeah, it is a very tough thing. Phil Spencer went through something similar because it's Hispanic Heritage Month, and he put out something including Latinx, and he deleted the tweet and then put out something else. So I think it's an important discussion, and I would hope that Bungie could talk about it a little bit, because I think it is important that it's very clear that, like, hey, this is a linguistic argument. It's a linguistic discussion. It's got nothing to do with any bigotry. Here's some information. Get informed about it. They could do it in that way, because I think it is important for people to be informed about it.
I think that a good response from them would be to identify where they went wrong, because it seems like if you're, Latino, or that you would have spotted this, right? If this tweet went past your desk, you would have been like, this is gonna cause issues. So it would be nice to be like, yeah, you know what? We've got a huge team, we've got PR people, we've got people check tweets and this, and we didn't follow a procedure to put it through our own internal groups, which are there for this kind of stuff. Which is the irony of this, right? It's like you're saying that you've got a group of people that are representing this culture, and then
flubbing it up.
Yeah.
Bit of a
flubbing it up. So, that seems like an appropriate response. Like, yeah, we need to make sure that these things are checked by the people in those cultures before they go out, because if you're not in that area and you don't speak that language, you don't understand that culture, you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna cause things like this because it comes from good intention, but just because you have good intention doesn't mean that you get a good outcome.
Well, like
True.
it's exactly like you said. Like the it's not like anyone needs like a massive like, hey guys, we are so sorry that
Yeah.
we absolutely disrespected you guys. You guys, we are just the worst. We just suck. We're just sorry, guys. It's more so like, hey, we had a good intention. We're just gonna get rid of the X. Repost the tweet and then move. Like that's really all
Yeah.
That's
Now we
anyone
know.
can
what
ask
needed to
for.
happen.
But
Yeah.
if it doesn't get removed and Bungie doesn't address it, it's kind of like, it's kind of expected. But yeah, I think it's so hard because of the discourse in the underbelly of it, where while the intention is obviously good and the end goal is important and good, the 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 response is such a mixed bag of completely valid, hey, this is culturally fairly insensitive, and then also just people just spewing super hateful stuff. So it is a minefield, big old minefield.
It is, yeah. So I would love for Bungie to come out and say, you know, we'll remove the X, and have a discussion about that. Maybe link to some stuff that people can get informed about. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, because of, you know, Bungie doesn't want to seem like they're for any kind of bigotry, and some people will
Mhm.
probably take it that way. People are stupid.
I feel like it'd be so easy for them to like say it's not like they're limited to like just a one sentence thing about it. It would be
They could
so
put out
easy
a
for
blog
Bungie to
post,
just
right?
come out and say like, "Hey, like we recognize this, that this could be taken this way and we didn't mean it this way," or whatever all the apology types that we said before, but in saying this, we still stand by all these other communities. We don't want to seem like we're encouraging those who have come out of the woodworks to say all these things that they're against. I just feel like it would be easy for them to say that, and it's not like they're limited in any capacity to be one or the other. They could clearly state both at the same time, and I would
Yeah.
personally like to see them do that.
I feel like they usually do when
Yeah,
it comes
that's
to
what I'm
They
saying, yeah.
do,
human
yeah.
rights type stuff and things like that. So this is kind of
It's just
interesting.
it's like you made this group to represent this group of people, but then you're not listening to a very large portion of those
Mhm.
people. So then it's like it really muddies the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'd be curious if anybody from like if they do have kind of like an internal group,
Yeah.
what their opinion of all of this is. They probably can't say anything on it publicly, but I'd be curious.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. So that's that. Yeah, I'm glad we could have the conversation. I think it is important, and a lot of people don't know about it. And now you know that it is coming from respecting the language and the culture that it comes from. So if you see people talking about it, they're not automatically a bigot, which I think
Yeah.
some people may assume. Don't get it twisted. Not about that.
Welcome to Hispanic
Wanna go on
Heritage
to the-
Month, boys. Good to have you.
Yep. Exactly.
Do we want to talk about the IGN stuff as well?
I
Might
mean,
as
it
well.
does run into it. Yeah, it's all kind of related.
That was pretty heavy. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty short article, so I think I will just read the whole thing because I don't want to like put words into anyone's mouth. But today an IGN article came out about a former Bungie HR manager is suing for wrongful termination after she reported potential racial bias. So I'm just going to read it and then we can talk about it after. So her name is Ingrid Alm or Alm. Probably saying something wrong, but Ingrid. But she was wrongfully terminated by a former HR manager. And so this is a complaint that was filed earlier this year, and this is planned to go to court in January. So we'll probably find out more at that point. But this is a complaint that was filed for Washington, where she recounts that she was hired by Bungie in May of 2022 as an HR manager, coming into the job with over a decade of experience. Just a few months into her employment, she says she was instructed to investigate the performance of an employee who's referred to as James Smith. This isn't their real name, but we'll refer to them as James Smith. But when she
Or
sat
is
down, I mean, it could be, but it would be very bad to put the person's name, because this is Ingrid's lawsuit. It's not like involving other people, but it's involving their story.
Right.
But when she sat down to speak with Smith, he allegedly pointed out that he was the only Black employee on a team of 50 individuals, and expressed that he felt he was being singled out and racially targeted by his supervisor. Is it Ulm? I'll just say Ingrid. That way I'm not messing up. Ingrid goes on to say that she shared this information with her supervisor and recommended that Smith's supervisor receive diversity training, but alleges that her recommendation was met with hostility and denial. She says she was told that the individuals she was recommending to take the training had been there for a long time and are highly regarded.
That sounds
and her
familiar.
recommendation was denied. It is a similar thing that we've heard before. During a follow-up discussion about the incident sometime after, Ingrid was additionally told by her supervisor that she didn't want to touch those conversations with a 10-foot pole. Following this, Ingrid alleges that Bungie recommended terminating Smith's employment. Ingrid says she disagreed, saying this would be racial bias, and in September approached Bungie's Director of Equity and Inclusion, Dr. Courtney Benjamin, for advice. Benjamin suggested that terminating Smith would be too risky considering the evidence, and advised a written warning be given to Smith instead. However, Ingrid alleges that her supervisor became extremely angry at her for having reached out to Benjamin and gave her a written warning over email. Ingrid's supervisor also called Benjamin to apologize for Ingrid approaching her, supposedly telling Benjamin that she didn't want her to think that she was a racist. Later in September, Ingrid claims that she was placed in the needs improvement category during a review, despite previously having excellent reviews from both peers and clients, and was told by her supervisor to look for an off-ramp, aka an exit from the job. Shortly after, Ingrid says she found her email and Bungie platform access cut off without explanation, and despite multiple attempts to contact her supervisor, received no response for several days. At the end of September, Ingrid was informed that her resignation had been accepted, despite insisting that she had not intended to resign and wanted to keep her job. She says she declined to sign a document stating she voluntarily resigned, and that an email she sent to the company's chief people officer, Holly Barbakovi, explaining the situation went unanswered. Bungie's response to Ingrid's complaint is brief and does not include an alternative narrative of events to counter hers. Bungie instead either flatly denies almost every part of Ingrid's narrative without further context, or denies them with the statement that Bungie lacks knowledge or information sufficient to form a belief to the truth or falsity of the allegations. And then it says Bungie is represented by Mary, who is a Fox Rothschild lawyer who professes expertise in getting wrongful termination lawsuits dismissed and developing strategies that serve my clients' financial goals and minimize costs. And then it just says that a jury trial is set for January 22nd of next year. So that's when we'll find out some actual information.
Holy.
And then it says, notably, Ingrid was hired at Bungie just 5 months following the other IGN report on the company's work culture. In it, over 25 employees alleged the company had a history of allowing toxic culture to fester, including racial and gender bias, with those who reported such instances to HR, alleging their reports were frequently dismissed or even turned against them. So that is pretty much the whole thing. I've seen these things go both ways. I've seen it be entirely not true. I've seen it be entirely true, and I've seen it be a mixed bag.
She references, or that article sounds like she's referencing several pieces of paperwork that could support her.
Yeah. Receipts.
Yeah, so that's where the thing is like, is because it specifically says here, and it is in quotes, of we can't just let James Smith go because there's too much evidence. And that would definitely be racial bias.
Yeah.
So yeah, I imagine that
Ooh,
the
boy.
testimony of that person is going to be key here
Yeah.
as to what her future holds.
So we were talking before the podcast because they did mention the previous IGN article, and although it was about discrimination, and I did contract work for Bungie, and I wasn't discriminated based on gender or skin color or anything like that, but I did feel like I witnessed some of the behaviors that were being mentioned, and so I can give a brief recap, and I actually had follow up from Bungie and spoke to them about that experience, and I made a YouTube video about it, of course, because I'm not getting that juicy ad revenue. But yeah, so for those that don't know, I worked on the Grimoire Anthology Volumes 1, 2, and 3, and had people added to the team late who were, I guess, old Vanguard kind of deal, and were around in Destiny 1 and had personal input to Grimoire and lore and this kind of stuff, and had some strong opinions, which is all fine. We all worked through them to produce a good product. But there were certain things that like my credit in the books was changed without talking to me. Like this new person that came on literally like 2 weeks before, the book went to publishing, was they took my title, and then I got replaced with something else, and I didn't feel like it reflected the work that I had done. And when I spoke to management, it was I saw some like behaviors that were very like dismissive and kind of like, yeah, you shouldn't be getting upset by this. I'm like,
You're like, I can get upset about whatever I want. First of all, don't tell me how to feel.
yeah, but I'm kind of expressing to you, like I had literally done months of work on this, and you bring in like this final editor, and you kind of didn't talk to me about changing how I was credited in the book, and that's upsetting. And the way that you've made it sound like, because I think I got changed to like consultant, makes it sound like I came in the last minute and just double checked stuff, which wasn't actually the case. I was literally the only lore person, narrative person working on this product for the entire month, and I was the only one knowing what was going to go in it. And then you brought someone else on, and so like they should be called consultant because they did a couple weeks
That's
work.
what
and
they
I
did. Yeah.
a couple months. There was something that they said. Anyway, I can't. You have to watch my previous video. A lot of the language that was used was very dismissive and kind of similar to what's been said again here. That like, pushing for a certain outcome and then like gaslighting you basically if you complain about something. And obviously people love when you hear these stories from Bungie because, we just had a whole discussion of Bungie forward facing is very progressive, and then when something happens like internally, people are like, haha, gotcha. And at the end of the day, there are there's a big company. You got people that are not good leaders and don't know how to be good leaders, and pretty old school with their leadership strategies, and are not very progressive and just want you to do it, whatever. And that's kind of what happened.
Well, if what
when
Ingrid
I got
says is
follow-
true, I mean, it heavily implies like pretty deep roots of racism inside the HR department of Bungie, which is pretty nasty stuff.
It's
Yeah.
it comes across as the supervisors that you're talking about have been here for a long time. They are very famous for being like the people who've done whatever, whether it's they've worked on Halo or Destiny 1, Destiny 2, and we cannot bring this to them. They cannot be touched. You leave them alone. It's like the genius composer, right? Where they're super problematic and awful, terrible people.
Right.
But you're just like, but they're geniuses. You must leave them alone and let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And it does come across as just being like, gotta let them do their thing, you just gotta deal with it. The thing that's like super concerning is, well, we should just fire the guy who came and said that he feels like he's having racial bias.
Right.
That's crazy.
And fire the HR person fighting for him.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, because I see Chad talking about it, right? And I did say at the beginning, but I'll say it again. So obviously I didn't suffer like discrimination based on my sex, gender, or skin color. But when the RGN article came out, I immediately click with it and reflected on my time there and some of the things that was said, and that I could see that there was some truth there, just like I can see that this could potentially have happened because I experienced it myself, and it wasn't based on that. But I'm just thinking of an example again. I just remembered what happened is when I brought up this stuff about authorship, I got given the whole, like, you're not a team player. Like, you complaining about this is trying to take this credit. You need to be part of the team, right? And that sounds similar to, like, you need to be on the team in here. Like, we want this person gone. Like, they're not performing. Like, you need to get on board and do this kind of stuff. And I mean, on the surface, it sounds like she's disagreed with that and not been a team player and then been fired because of it. And it'll be interesting to see what evidence comes out. And because it sounds like she's probably a good HR person. It sounds like she's doing what a HR person should do, which is listen to both sides of the story and not just solely represent the company.
Exactly.
Because
And
most
then when
HR solely represent the interests of the company.
When she was faced with inaction from her immediate supervisor, she escalated past that. Now, this is all based on, her complaint.
Right. That's why it says, allegedly in there, because the court case hasn't happened. Nothing's been proven or unproven. So,
right. And the lawyers are going to get in there and twist it all up. So, it doesn't even matter what happened.
I get there's a little bit of a trigger inside of me whenever I hear somebody say, in quotes, a racist. I don't want to be taken as a racist. That's like that's often a sign in my mind.
Flag.
It is definitely a red flag.
Hey,
right?
whoa. Hey, whoa. Don't call, hey, you kettle over there, don't call me that.
It's,
But the other thing with my stories, Bungie did follow up with me, and I did speak to, like, directors afterwards, and I was really hesitant to like name names because whatever, but they wanted to talk about it, and they're like, yeah, those people have already gone. We, like, got rid of them. So it confirmed that it wasn't like an isolated incident, that other people had issues with them too, and they'd left the company because of that. So I'm surprised it's happening again.
That's what I was going to say, right? Is like your experience was a few years ago. This is from like 2022. And it seems to still be something of like a supervisor, a high ranking person is being problematic. So they weren't able to get rid of everyone. It
definitely seems like they're not listening to, like, both sides of the story. The supervisor, they've made up their mind of who the troublesome person is, and they want to get rid of them. And I guess that's what they got to prove now, is if they were actually not performing or if it was discrimination.
But it doesn't sound like they got rid of Jimmy, right? Jimmy, for all we know, is still
James
there.
Smith. Yeah. Doesn't sound like it. There's nothing in there that says that he ended up being fired.
Because there was too much paperwork.
There's too much
support inside of the story.
That's the crazy part, is they were like, whoa, you brought a lot of proof here. This evidence is pretty compelling. Yeah, I don't think we could do the thing that we were originally going to do because it would definitely be racist. But also, don't call someone racist.
It was like, we can't do that because there's too much evidence, and that would be a clear racial bias, and that opens us up to a lawsuit. But it's like, if you're seeing that evidence, then why would you not just like talk? Why are we scared to talk to the supervisor, the superior, whoever it is, and be like, hey, the way that you're treating people is making them feel uncomfortable. It may totally be that this is like a misinterpretation of your personality. I've seen that plenty of times as well, and someone's taken it a different way. But you need to talk to them about it. You can't just like try and sweep it under the rug and then be like, get rid of the guy that's complaining. Get rid of that guy.
Seems like there's some folks that are quite protected.
Yeah.
The creative vision, or for whatever reason.
Someone big. Who is it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I never worked, in that field before. Like, obviously we've done content creation, but it is an odd experience to work, like, even adjacent to the video game. Like consolidating a Grimoire anthology. This fictional piece. It's weird, and it's like justifying decisions are really hard in that space. I'm like justifying, like, why Oryx's Grimoire card should go on page 4 and not page 5. It's like, it's weird shit. And like, you haven't worked in that space. And you know, a lot of the leaders need to have a vision of where something's going, and you know, it seems like some people get pretty butthurt when you challenge that vision and like say like, actually, I don't think we should do that. We should do this because I feel like the community might like it more or whatever. Maybe that's part of the reason of creating these like maybe not very friendly workplaces is part of the working in that space as well.
So weird, like hearing you say that, because that's one of their like ideals that they stand by. Like Bungie as a company, if you go to their applying page, like one of their like pillars is like what is it, like strong ideals, like held loosely, like they're all for teamwork. Like they want you to have like those strong ideas, like you're saying, like it should be on page 4 or whatever, but you got to be able to like hold it loosely and work with a team. And it sounds like some people are more on the side of like holding it like their vision.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely happened when I was doing the Grimwald anthology, and we had people that worked on Destiny 1, and had a very strong vision of what they wanted the anthology to be. But we're like making this book, you know, what I did in 2019. When did the Destiny come out? 2000. Was it 14?
14? Yeah,
Mhm.
14.
Yeah, we're doing this 5 years later. It's like things have changed, and you know, maybe your creative vision is not what the community wants to see now. Like,
No, for sure. And I think it's always tough when you have people who have been in an industry for so long because they're very used to how things are done if they cannot adjust to how things are being done now. Because like, and this isn't a Bungie specific thing, this is from people that I've talked to at different companies, but they were like, back in the day, if you were a tester, if you were part of QA, you weren't allowed to use the same bathroom as like the actual employees. You had to go through the back door. You weren't able to eat in the kitchen. It was like you were a lesser employee. You weren't allowed anywhere near it.
dirty testers.
Yeah, it's crazy how bad the video
Wow.
game industry has been with all of the crunching and the treating QA like crap. It's really bad. So if you have someone from that era, they have to be willing to change quite a lot to be in a positive workforce. So yeah.
We're in some kind of transition, I feel like, where, you know, just like in the world, in the country, you know, where you have a lot of the older ideals of, you know, bootstrapping and all the things, being tough and all that stuff. And then you have the younger group that's trying to be more accepting of everybody and all this stuff. And there's like this clash happening. And we're definitely seeing it
Yeah.
concentrated in the game industry too, like
For sure.
live. It'll be interesting to see 10, 20 years from now, you know, how things are different.
I'm sure it's happening in every industry. It does seem to be
Mhm.
like front and center in the gaming industry, just because I don't know if it's just because like so much of the gaming industry is like on social media. I don't know why that is, but I mean, it does seem to be front and center in the gaming
I
industry.
think
I
in
also
any
think it's just because
industry,
it makes so much money now. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
the
that's true.
gaming industry is just huge. It's just
That's
like
true.
it comes with the territory of now you've got so much money, you've got really big organizations, you've got really big companies pushing really big profits. So it's like, you know, it kind of comes with the territory of just having a lot of people in the same building, like, and a lot of eyeballs on how you
Mhm.
behave as a company and the products you produce.
when a lot of the big people that work at these companies are kind of like heroes. It's like almost like being a Hollywood actor or something like
Yeah.
that. When you
Sure.
have big names in a company, you know, it draws a lot of eyeballs. It's
Which
not like
people
it's
deserve when they have a ton of talent, right? Like, you know,
yeah, for sure.
but it doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole either.
There you go.
Yeah, just because you've been
Yeah.
around for a long time and made some good
Yeah.
stuff doesn't mean that you're like above being
Yeah.
a bad person.
It is somewhat concerning to me,
And
like
also-
this story combined with what we're just talking about with the Latinx tweet, combined with the IGN article from a couple of years ago. Like this does seem to be like a kind of a recurring,
The pattern.
issue. Is like
Yeah.
they say the right things. Well, not always, but they
They try to.
represent
Yeah.
as this kind of like forward-thinking company, but behind the scenes, it's kind of still the old boys club.
I think it's a difference of
Well, I
who's
think like
speaking to who.
there's always going to be bad apples, and I also want to
Sure.
say I met some like absolutely just delightful people
Mhm.
at Bungie who have been around since literally Halo days, and like took me out of lunch whenever I went over there to meet the team and whatever, and were just like so humble, and then me googling like what they did, like they created Halo, like original concept artists on Halo, like holy shit, you know, you would never expect it. They were just so kind and lovely and humble, and then you know, of course, you're gonna get people that are not like that.
Yeah. So we're not obviously not going to hear anyone talk about it before a court case comes to a jury. You're not going to have people talk about it. So we'll see what ends up coming out in January.
I hope they don't settle. I hope they don't settle. I hope they don't settle. I'd love to
Well,
see
this
this
is
go
the
to
other
court.
thing is you
man,
get to
this
see all the
drama.
you get to see all the dirty of companies because they will just like keep a court case going because they're like, I got a bunch of money. You're just a person. Like you're gonna give up eventually.
Yeah, but like some of the stuff we got from like Sony and Microsoft from Discovery, like in the last year or so, boy, we could get some real dirt on Bungie if this goes to court.
Yeah.
And
I don't think
Content
there's any way
creators
they
are
don't settle.
clapping hands together, going, "Oh baby,
All of
we can
them
watch
blue
more
check
cases."
Twitter accounts are real excited.
There's
They
no
can't
way they
wait.
don't. There's no way they don't settle. There's no way. The
I
lawyers
think they will
involved.
settle.
It would
Yeah,
be
I don't
way
think they will
too.
let it go.
You know, it'd be way too harmful to Bungie for.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even this article's already harmful, so
yeah,
There's
It
absolutely
is,
absolutely
especially following the other article, right? And right on the heels of the Latinx discussion, it's Bungie's not having a good time right now.
Pay him and sweep it under the
Yeah.
rug, right?
And I imagine they just want to actually focus on making games, so they probably just want to get rid of it, right?
Yeah. So that's this week at Bungie. That's what's going on at Bungie. Yeah.
True.
They're nerfing fusions.
Yeah,
Barely.
what's happening to the swamp?
Lego.
Barely.
Pour one out for poor Lego.
Nah, they'll be fine.
They're nerfing snipers, but buffing them in PvE. It's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to be able to stand on the ledge and shoot
I see
Crota in the
I
face.
see a lot of graphs in this Twibby Twab. What do we need to know? You know?
Lego, what's going on with weapons? You know numbers
yeah.
and stuff
I'll
and
just-
graphs. And
I can fly through real fast.
Yeah.
So we already talked about the SMG thing. Auto rifles are getting basically they're buffing two of the archetypes and nerfing the other two. Rapid fire and I believe precision were the two that are getting nerfed. Yeah, and adaptive and high impacts are leaving the same, but adaptives reducing the ADS damage fall off scalar from 1.7 to 1.6. So they're lowering the range of all of them, but they're increasing the base damage of adaptives. And I thought high impacts too. They said that they wanted high impacts to be better. Oh, high impacts are the ones that aren't getting a nerf to the range distance. So all the others are getting a range nerf, but adaptives are getting a buff to their damage. And then pulses, high impacts were like super hot, and so all pulses got a nerf, but basically they're moving up some of the other pulses to be a little bit better, but leaving high impacts the same. And then fusion rifles are do what? Yeah.
It's bad juju's time.
Yeah, we'll see. All of these are like very minor tweaks, other than maybe the sniper rifle thing, and it's the kickstart nerf. But fusion rifles, they're making it to where right now, every fusion rifle, if you hit like max distance, it still only does half damage. Like, and that's the maximum amount it can take away is half the damage. Well, now it can do 45% of its damage, and this prevents you from getting like one bursted from crazy distances by damage stacking stuff. So it's a very niche thing that they're fixing. And they're also nerfing kickstart at the same time, where it's reducing the damage bonus from 20% to 15%. Sniper rifles. This was the one thing that I feel like people like kind of picked apart a little bit was sniper rifles. They are increasing the airborne accuracy of sniper rifles and slug shotguns by 20%. So it's like what it was before when you used a sniper rifle in the air is before airborne effectiveness was introduced is basically what they're going to feel like now. But at least, yeah, it says sniper rifles are now as accurate at base as they were pre-AE with an Icarus mod. So even without an Icarus mod, that's how accurate they are in the air. But they're decreasing the body shot damage of aggressive and adaptive and rapid fire snipers. And the purpose of that was they thought that it was that they're supposed to be a risk reward weapon, and right now people can body shot and then swap to a primary and finish off so quickly for basically messing up. And they're like, hey, we want it to be rewarding to use a sniper rifle. Like if you get picked off with a headshot, you get picked off with a headshot, like they earn that kill sort of deal. So that was the one that people are like, well, I don't know, like some people feel like snipers aren't strong enough in the current meta, and some people are like, no, they are really oppressive by getting body shot. And I saw some high tier PvP players who were happy about this. So I think overall the reception to all these nerfs and buffs have been positive. But have y'all heard anything? Do y'all have any feelings on any of these changes?
The sniper change, I'm like, well, what you're saying can also be applied to what bows do, and they have infinite ammo.
Right.
So I'm confused as to why the sniper is a problem, but the bow isn't. And like it's kind of crept up, right? We've had checkmate and people realized that bows are really good there. And then we had a trials map where bows are really, really, really good. And now bows are just taking over the crucible, and it's awful to play against. But yeah, it was funny reading their reasoning for the sniper rifle body nerf, and then I was like, but isn't that what bows do? But infinitely forever because they have infinite ammo.
I definitely hear what you're saying. The difference is that a bow, like a precision bow, you hit them, it's like a little over, what is it, like a little over 100 damage on a body shot, and the aggressive sniper was like 157, so you could like, body shot someone with a hand cannon after that and kill them. But also, that's a special ammo that you're using to do that, and like you're saying, bows you have unlimited ammo, so I definitely hear the argument.
I am curious if there's any guns now that are not going to be a 2-hit body shot now, is with the sniper with certain resilience and stuff.
No, because they decreased the body shot of adaptives from 131 to 119, so that will still 2 body shot anything. Rapid fires never could. They weren't 2 body shotting anyway. They were 90 before, now they're 85, so it doesn't really change anything. It just changes the follow-up damage you need from a primary.
Right.
And to address like anything happening in PvE, they are getting a huge buff. They mentioned snipers and glaives are both getting a big buff in PvE next season to compensate for some of this. And there's a huge glaive change that they mentioned, like rework. They don't give any details on it, but they do say that exotic glaives are being reworked as well, and they're really excited to share information on it soon.
They are all getting increases to critical hit damage as well, even in PvP.
Yes.
Which doesn't really matter except for maybe against supers.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's pretty much it. And then they changed some stuff for checkmate as well. Heavy ammo not being around as much. It was 90-second respawn. Now it's 180. And rounds are going from 100 to 125, which was a common complaint. People wanted the round, like they just felt like the games are too quick. So I think everybody's pretty happy about that, I believe.
I still got to play a bit more checkmate, but
Me
maybe
too.
I can't do it now because I nerfed Ante's ward, so I don't know what I'm going to use.
Yeah, we're gonna switch to Hunter.
When is this patch going live?
I heard this was next week. The tweet they put out made it sound like it was coming today, but
it did. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like,
very
wait, what? But no, it's going to be, I believe, I'm guessing next Tuesday. It said next week.
Go with that.
They also talk about their cutscene archive update, just more stuff that they've added to YouTube, the different seasons, all the way up to Season of the Deep. And I know before we end everything with the TWAB, I want to shout out Hinra, who is the best, speaking of bows, the best bow player I think I've ever seen play Destiny 2. And Hinra won Movie of the Week this week, so shout out to them. Very awesome YouTuber who also died. I actually talked with Hinra earlier today doing a YouTube collab, and then they won Movie of the Week later on, and I was like, oh wow, awesome.
Hell yeah.
That looks nasty. I'm watching it now.
It's Henry's
Fire bow.
disgusting.
Strand?
Yeah, it's really
A
crazy.
bow and glaive. That's yeah. I'm uninstalling Destiny after I get killed by that.
It's just so fast. The plays, I can't keep up.
Should we take some questions?
Yeah, I've versed like someone who uses a bow in the air a lot, and it's fucking annoying. They're like when they're really good at it, it's very hard to deal with.
Yeah, and they're
Especially if
very
they
easy
hip
to
fire
use.
like that on
Mhm.
like mouse and
Yeah,
keyboard.
the
or
hip fire.
something.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
All right.
Twitter questions, huh?
Yeah.
Yay.
Hugo Rune, we're going to start off a little bit
Yeah.
silly, bring up the tone a little bit. Hugo Rune 79 says, if clouds were made of cotton candy, how would that change weather forecasts and your snacking habits? Well, I'm assuming we'd all die.
This is an AI question. I
We'd
read
be
that.
suffocated by cotton
There'd
candy.
be a lot more diabetes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Rain would be fun.
Oh, it all just melt.
Rain would melt the
Would it
clouds.
Yeah, it'd just be like sugar water.
Well, like on a foggy
Yeah.
day, we'd all
Like
suffocate in the cotton candy.
Just you got to eat your way through. It's like an episode of Simpsons or something.
Or what if it wasn't fog, it was only clouds? So you're just tempted by these clouds all the time up there. You could never eat them though, because you could never reach them unless you're like
Yeah, you couldn't eat them.
a hiker. You could get up on those like 14,000 foot.
Oh, like skydiving.
Oh yeah.
Literally
Well, if you're-
skydive, open your mouth as you go through cotton candy cloud.
Wham.
Okay, but hail wouldn't be fun because
Just be like sugar pellets.
you'd probably, yeah, I mean, not just sugar pellets, like big hail.
Sugar cubes.
That would probably be like oh, sugar cubes. That's actually hilarious. The I'm thinking like you guys know like the those like baby pops and like how you could
Yes.
sharpen them.
Yes.
That's just I imagine just sharpened baby bottle pops falling from the sky.
It's a prison
the
shank.
The suckers
Yeah.
that look like baby bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Took me a second.
Yeah, I love them. Those are delicious.
Mohegan 9 says, do you prefer to talk on the phone or text?
Don't call me.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
an
don't call me.
unsolicited
No,
phone call
ever.
is like an
Yeah.
insult. Like you don't respect my time. You should text me and ask me, is it okay if I call you? And no
Are you
should be
available?
an
Exactly.
appropriate answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
The
don't
only
get mad when I
My
say
mom
no.
or my family or my partner, like, don't call me.
My
Does anybody
family
else-
knows
Yeah.
that I will not pick up the phone on the first call. Like if it's an emergency, call twice and I'll pick up the second time.
Yeah. I was gonna say, does it feel
Say-
like when you get a call from somebody that normally would text, you're like, "What is the emergency?
What's going on?
Right.
What happened?"
Yeah. I think the only time I'm okay
See,
with it is if we're going back and forth about a bunch of plans and like, do you have
Yes.
this? And I'm just like, just freaking call me,
Yeah,
dude. What is
yeah,
this? This is taking 5 hours.
Agreed.
That's
Yeah,
when I'm like,
I'm
well, go on,
definitely
just
on the
hop in a
boomer
Discord
side
call
of
real
this.
quick.
I-
Jesus.
Because I
Mm.
never check messages. I'm not on Facebook. Nobody can get a hold of me. And
Well,
I
you'd
just
be
tell
on
them,
Facebook if you
wanna
were
get
a
hold of
boomer.
me?
Here's why
Call me.
my kids are
Call me.
geniuses. When they got their phones, and this was a long time ago, this is like 5 years ago, they never set up the voicemail. They never set it up. So if you call them, it doesn't go to voicemail because they never set it up. It just says, it just the call ends. Like they
Just
didn't pick
rings
it up.
forever.
Isn't that
I love
genius?
that. I need to do that.
I do like when somebody I don't ever like call in to check my voicemail. It's always the text, voicemail to text, right?
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
like
Yep.
translate. I can't remember the last time I actually called in to listen to somebody's voice. Even
Oh,
even on the
same.
phone, I'm like, I just read it.
No,
and
yeah.
delete it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, because sometimes it gets the words wrong, so sometimes I do have to.
I don't know
What?
if
Like,
this happens
what did
to
you
you,
say to me?
but the fact that I work from home, everybody just assumes that like I have all this free time. That like anytime they call me, I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
They don't realize like I was like
That's
reading a script. I was in a good take for this video, and the phone rang.
Or the alert went off.
Yeah.
On whatever day that was.
Thanks a bunch. Oh yeah, that alert.
Oh,
What was
yeah.
up with that?
Right during my kid's nap too. Like,
Oh
what's wrong?
no.
Why?
And it wasn't quiet.
No, it
No,
was not.
it wasn't.
Doughboy says, Bungie mentioned a way that everyone could get involved with the new raid. What if they introduce 12-man raids as an easy mode? Only allow one clear per week per account for any raid for rewards. That would be fun.
You don't
Leave it
just-
12. Who
yeah,
cares?
just let people get loot, man.
Yeah.
Come on now.
12-man raid would be fun.
This is year 10 of Destiny, all right? We let people get some loot.
We were
I would
able
wanna-
to craft any gun we could possibly imagine. We could let people do 12-man raids. It's okay.
I think I would want a 12-person raid, but like probably 8 or 9 of those people need to be involved doing something. And then, maybe you have 2 or 3 spots for people who are like, yeah, just kill stuff. But
I mean, imagine having 6 people on ad clear. I'm on ad clear.
Sounds great.
I'm on ad clear.
Maybe I wouldn't die.
Yeah, like-
That'd be good. I'll take it.
I'm actually shocked they haven't already implemented something like this with how much they want to have like content that is like fairly accessible to everyone, because in most MMOs they have 2 versions of their raid content. They'll have just the normal version, which is like a really easy toned down, like it's not going to take you more than a couple of pulls to like do this, even if, and like obviously like really good players, like they're just gonna not even think about doing it in like a single pull, versus like a hard mode where like there's like really in-depth mechanics. You're gonna have to prog it. There's stop gaps where it's like there's mechanics where you have to learn and like really like set up organization. So I'm kind of surprised they don't already have like normal mode, quote unquote, versions of raids where it's just kind of like for people who want to like get the experience, like the cinematic experience, the narrative, versus the raids already being pretty easy. And I mean, there's a lot of like ways you could involve like having or not having loot in the normal mode, so I'm surprised they haven't already.
to their credit a little bit, the last couple of years I feel like they've been doing this a little bit more, where they've been taking like raid mechanics and kind of putting them in like story encounters or something like that. But it's weird because it's like they're doing it after the raid has been out for a long time, probably because obviously if you're training for the raid and then day 1 comes out, it's like, all right, I already know how to do this. But I don't know. I like that they've been doing that, for people to like get a little idea of mechanics and stuff. But I do hear you. It'd be cool to have like a cinematic or like kind of a storytelling of the raid without having to do the full experience.
Didn't they, for a little while, weren't they doing a lighter version of the raid, like lighter mechanics, and then there was like a harder mode that had other mechanics, like, and then they actually like made a post like this. I don't know, maybe I'm making this up, but I feel like they like came out and said like, hey, we're not gonna do that anymore because it's too difficult to design these different versions of the raid. Maybe that didn't happen. Maybe I'm just making that up, but it feels like
You dreamed it.
yeah, I might have, but it feels like that was a thing for a second, and they were like, or maybe they were addressing feedback that people wanted that, and they were just like, hey, we want, that would be cool to do that, but it would just take so many resources to develop these 2 different versions of the raid, and instead they came out with hard mode challenges. But I think it would be awesome to, the more people you get raiding, because it's such a low percentage of people that are doing the raids to begin with, just the more people you get to do that, the better.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, but tell me this.
they used to.
Tell me this.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I
used
mean,
to.
how often do you have 5 people and you're waiting for the 6th to join? Like, you imagine 12 people, you'd be sitting on 8 for about
You'd need
eternity. Oh my god.
matchmaking.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, you also aren't hallucinating. In D1
Okay.
they used to have the base raid, and then they would do a hard mode where they would introduce like new caveats to the mechanics.
Yes.
They kind of like went back and forth where like they would design the hard mode after the raid came out. So like Crota, the original Crota was a great example where people actually didn't like it because it seemed like they just paid attention to the strats we made and then like introduced stop gaps where the common strats were. And then later, like in Kingsfall, they were like, oh no, we're going to design the hard mode and then take mechanics away from the normal mode. And then they just kind of stopped doing it because I definitely get that having like a normal mode that was already pretty tough for the average player, and then introducing like a harder mode. So they kind of like the spiritual successor is like the challenges they introduce, where like, oh, you have to do this certain way
Yeah.
to get, versus designing the entire mechanic to work differently from mode to mode.
We only ever did hard mode because the rewards were much better. But D1 raids were different because you could almost like 3 or 4 man most encounters of any raid. And then you could have, because, somebody would die or 2 people would die and you'd have to like finish it out, right? With 3 or 4 people, which you could do because there was no timer. But D2 raids, you can't do that.
I miss that. I feel like there were more like heroic moments where you
Yeah.
could be like the heroic savior of your team by just like pulling
Yeah.
a miracle out of your ass when you're like the last man standing.
Mm-hmm.
And I
It
feel
does
like
suck.
Destiny 2 doesn't let you do that often.
A lot of times in even like Crota, the Abyss, like the first encounter, somebody dies, you don't have a res token, right? And you have like 2 minutes left and you're on the top floor or something like that. And you're like, I don't think we have time to let the bridge build and do all that. Like everything just, and then you're sitting at the door and the door takes 20 seconds to open. You're like, come on. And you can't beat the timer to beat it. Yeah, it's frustrating. I kind of do miss some of that old stuff for sure.
Zachary Richard says, what's everyone's favorite boss fight in a video game? Mine is Lord Shimura in Ghost of Tsushima or Rayquaza in Pokemon Emerald. Watts, do you remember who Lord Shimura was? Was that the final boss of the campaign?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
That was a good,
I was like,
that was a fun boss fight.
Man, Ghost of Tsushima was
But the raid boss was way more fun.
The raid boss was super good. They did such a good job with the raid.
The raid boss, you had to like do like Destiny 2 raid stuff, but then every person got pulled into like kind of the equivalent of like, I don't know, like a sphere, and you had to one-on-one the raid boss, and if you fucked up, you let the whole raid team down. So everybody had to go in
you're
there.
Like, parry, God damn it! You
And,
can't parry. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, you had like Dark Souls, this boss, like, and everybody had to do it on the
That'd be
raid
pretty
team.
hard
So
with
cool.
connections, huh?
What's that?
That'd be pretty hard with like different people's connections. Like if I joined you guys, I'd be like, all right, I got to parry like half a second early.
I think you'd be okay.
Yeah.
You'd get it. You get it. It was so cool though,
Do you
because the
remember
whole.
do you remember we played Remnant 2 together and you were like, it's okay, I'm just predicting what the boss is doing?
You just have to guess. You can't react to it. You just have to guess. Yep.
Yeah.
So I kind of I have one from this year that actually I could have 2 from this year. So there's one that's like a great spectacle boss that I think was an incredible experience, which was against Titan in Final Fantasy 16. The boss fights in Final Fantasy 16 are absolutely insane. You got like an hour fighting the dude, like you go into space, you're flying back to Earth, you've got like crazy music. It's crazy. Like their boss fights are on another level. And then honestly, the Remnant 2 final boss was kind of incredible in terms of a combat thing. Yeah. I have a bunch of favorite boss fights, but yeah, those 2 from this year were kind of a good one because it's like the Titan fight was super epic and a spectacle, and then the one in Remnant 2 was very much a combat thing. It was also kind of a spectacle.
I still remember playing Final Fight when I was a kid, and the third boss was the cop. And I'm like, ooh, I get to beat up a cop. I'll never forget that day.
I feel like I like games that like anything that messes with your mind outside the game that's not just like the game itself. And so for me, like the first thing that comes to mind is the fight in The Last of Us 2 midway through the game where you like fight Ellie. And it's like, whoa, this is like mentally messing with my mind.
That was
like, what am I doing right now?
That was my experience with the final boss in Final Fantasy 16. No spoilers, but the final boss, because there's like a lot of emotions going on. It's like really epic and very fun, but you're like, God. And it's just a constant back and forth of like, yeah, and then being like, oh no.
Yeah, I like stuff
I agree
like
with that. Yeah. No, it's a very unique experience because you don't get that in every kind of fight.
Metal Gear Solid
I
4.
don't know if I have. Say again.
I don't know.
Metal Gear Solid 4. Solid Snake, Liquid Ocelot.
Ooh, that is a good boss fight.
I was shitting my little pants as a kid.
I
Uh,
don't think I have like a favorite boss that really stands out. Like I've had lots of bosses, but nothing that like I really think about a lot. Like, God damn, that was good.
It's because you quit before you get there, Violet. Like,
What are you, Twitch? Yeah, I was like, I
Mylan quit
can't
on a
say
Guardian
whatever. Yeah, I can't say. Yeah, I did. I did. Good boss. Do you know I didn't quit on? What's the Armored Core 6 ding dong?
Balteus.
Belitus?
Balteus, yeah, freaking Balteus, man.
Ballsack? Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. What is?
I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite boss. Definitely not my favorite because I was about to fucking uninstall the game.
Wayne
I'll
says-
follow up. I'll follow up second. I have a second one. The basement in Resident Evil, the last one that came out, where you like go in the basement and there is the giant baby chasing you. Yeah, that one is
That was
absolutely. That one messed with me too.
That made me go, no babies.
Yep.
That was a creepy baby.
I was.
Lego was ready to throw the
I'm-
baby out. He's
I'm
like,
pretty
"Nope,
sure my wife
I'm
was
not dealing with
pregnant at
this."
that time. I can't remember,
no.
or I had just had a baby. One or the other.
Oh yeah, I saw some women who were pregnant playing that
Yeah.
game, and they were like, playing this game while pregnant's a bit.
Bad idea.
Wayne says Halloween Eve and you only got $10. What Halloween costume can you make quickly and cheaply? You have to buy all the materials to make it. No recycling other materials or raiding your craft closet. My craft closet.
$10. I mean, the easiest is just throwing a sheet on your face, right, and cutting some holes.
Yeah.
That's always easy.
I feel like you could dress
What,
up as any of the
racist?
village people for $10.
True.
You go first.
He's got something good.
I was
It's like, you
"Yo,
don't
can I
want to
just get,
follow
like,
this
a-
one, Mylan. You don't want to follow that.
Can I just get like some sort of Australian out, like an Akuba or something? Be like, it'll be Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah,
I'm just
of
gonna
course.
find a knife. Can I find a knife somewhere? I'm like, this
Probably.
is not a knife. This is a knife.
I
Yeah.
feel like I could probably go as a baby with the bald head.
Yeah. I mean, good luck picking up a dummy for $10.
All right, bear with
A
me.
what?
A
So a
dummy.
pacifier, a dummy.
Yeah.
A binky.
Big.
That's what he meant.
I was like, Dobby?
All right, bear with me. Kevin James, the meme.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that'd be a good
yeah.
one.
Plaid shirt.
That is good. Yeah. You're just going to have that expression on your face the entire time.
I feel like that wouldn't work for like normal population.
No.
So like I might just look like a random dude, but like for the people that like get it,
Yeah.
they'd be like, dude, banger.
Yeah.
If you like had like a cardboard cutout of the background, it would make a lot more sense.
That's even better.
with
Yeah.
with Getty images on the side.
Yes.
That's great. I like that.
Animalistic says, which new subclass supers are you hyped for the final shape?
The hunter one.
Hunter Arc one. Yep.
Yeah. Got to throw knives and twirl around.
Teleport. Blink.
The
into
teleport
your
one
enemy.
definitely does look really cool.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. As a non-hunter player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Titan, so I'll be playing Titan. What's the Warlock got again? The Soul Buddy.
It's like
Soul
radiance
buddy.
without coming back to
Oh,
life.
that's right. It's like Radiance. Yeah, no, that's boring. Yeah, either the Hunter or the Titan.
I want to like play as the Arc Hunter and then have somebody else run the Titan. That way, when they do their super, I can still
Yeah.
pick up the axe.
Yeah.
That's true.
True.
I will steal the axe. Yep.
Mhm.
That's mine.
Yeah, that is actually, that's probably the best combo is that you get to play the fun, selfish hunter like usual, not contributing to team plays at all, and trying to be the hero every single time, and us Titans will be given the team play, sure.
Well,
that's a
those-
good one.
Mylan, you killed Jay Sniperton. So
He
how
doesn't
much is the
remember,
team play?
by the way. I
You're
told
like-
him last week. He's like, "Oh, I did." Like,
Did
no,
I?
I had no idea. Those axes, if teammates can pick them up, they need to feel satisfying to use for sure. Like, imagine you grab one and you just go over and you're like, "Bink."
Yeah, it
I'm
can't
sure
be like a
it'll be the
big
glade
slam
melee or
one.
anything.
Yeah, Bungie, I think, has nailed melee weapons and the feel of them, the weight of them. I mean, we get so much of it now, maybe it's not going to feel as cool as it used to when like swords first came out, and you're like, "Oh, this is nice." But
I mean, like burning
Yeah, I think that felt
maul
pretty
for
similar.
PvE has not really been that strong, as an example. Anyways,
but it's meaty when you smash the ground, though.
oh, I know it feels great, and in PvP it definitely is strong, but in PvE it was never really be interesting.
Yeah.
Kyle Flint says, when are we going to get Dream Team versus DCP Tilt
Oh
round 2?
I feel like that
Tefty's there.
like irreparably harmed my relationship with Tefty.
I think it
No,
did.
to be fair, though, to be fair, he deserved it. For those that
I
don't
don't
know,
know this. What's the law? What's the law on
do
this?
the lore breakdown.
so for those that don't know, we did like a whole like DCP versus Dream Team because we did like a podcast and
Yeah.
and they're just like, oh, it'd be fun because like it's Dream Team and you guys also do a podcast, so it could still be podcast versus podcast. And at that point, I think you guys were like 3-1 or like 3-0. So you
Yeah.
guys were like, oh, dude, we're gonna stay undefeated. And so we did like a whole like really themed PvP thing where it was like really goofy. Like like a round would be like just a normal PvP match, and then we would do like, oh, you have to do sword hilts only, and other stuff like that. And Tefty was talking the most shit. Tefty was feeling himself. He was in his bag. This dude was like just absolutely goading us, and especially me. And so we end up winning in like an insane nail biter. Not actually, it sucks for DCP because the last round was like the sword hill only round, and we just annihilated DCP.
We had
And-
no idea how to use the
Yeah.
sword hilts, like without having ammo. Like we had no idea how to do it. And you guys clearly did.
It was even saltier because like you guys did like on the normal PvP rounds where it was just like, yeah, just play, like just shoot. We were getting dumpstered, but every stupid themed party game round we would win. So the final round was the hilt one, and we won. And everyone's having a like, have a nice giggle, except I come in, and because I know Tefty was just talking the most shit, I come in and I'm just like, yeah, DCP 3-1. I guess not undefeated, Tefty. And Tefty just like throws me out of the voice. He's like visibly not cool. And I'm like, damn, okay, Tefty. I didn't think it was that serious. But
That's the first time I ever saw Tefty get like angry. Like he's
Yeah,
such a
me
he's such a
too.
cool customer. He's cool as a cucumbber, like all the time.
I was scared.
Competitive,
That
though,
one
apparently.
time, man, he got mad about it.
And like he's still mad about it. Like if you
Yeah.
watch Tefty when he talks about it,
Yeah, he
he's
gets mad.
visibly upset about it, and he'll start
He's so
arguing about.
I would be upset too because we did win on the dumb party game round. But at the same time, like, man, you cannot like have pants that big and then like when they get pulled down, just be like, no, I didn't get my pants pulled down. That was just bullshit.
That's really funny.
It was really funny, but I've never seen Tefty that upset in my life. I hope I never do again.
I don't share your concern for that second statement.
Oh man.
Pariah's just in the back eating his popcorn. Like,
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
We should do what's that new game? Party Animals or something like that.
no.
Party
Oh,
animals.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would trigger Tefty then.
That'd be
Gator
great.
says this question is for everyone. Did anyone in the DCP crew know that Blue is actually Michael Cera, the famous actor?
I don't, man.
True.
He's like
That's a
this
Michael Cera
again.
thing to say.
Like, ugh.
How long has this been a thing,
Man.
Blue? Apparently.
Ever since for some reason, people were like, he sounds just like Michael Cera, and I don't hear it.
No, I don't think so.
It's because I have. It's
I
because
hear
it's because I have a fairly soft voice. All right, so I get it, right? But everyone is like, "Oh, dude, Michael Cera. Hey, you ever see Superbad?" I'm just like, "Yeah, I've seen Superbad."
I learned something about Michael Cera recently. There was a movie, I think it was Superbad. When the movie came out to Blu-ray or something, they had a
Yeah.
longer like time to do menu stuff, and he danced for an hour without
Oh.
stopping,
my
and it doesn't
gosh.
Jesus.
loop for the entirety of the intro of that movie.
Wow.
Fun fact.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
The
Just
DVD
like
stamina.
menu when he's just like, there's no loop on it. It's just him dancing for an hour. They just got him into dance for an hour. Thought it'd be funny.
Amazing.
I just got a little more respect for Michael Cera. Ace Dog 00 says, "What the hell is with that ending to the season, Mylan? Make it better, Prior."
Make better.
The DVD, yeah.
Well, so I haven't, man. I've been off social media this week. I don't know what's been happening. I've been
Doesn't
a
it feel
goblin,
good?
but yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel pretty happy to be honest. I'm not too sure how people in general received the ending. I thought it was, I thought it was probably a better ending of a season than we've seen previously. Like I think sometimes
Yeah.
they absolutely blue ball you massively. It's like, oh, we're gonna revive Sabathun, get the answers, and it's like you don't see Sabathun, you don't see Zebu. It's just like ends on another cliffhanger. So I do feel like you got some of a conclusion, and the cutscene was cool, but there was also some negatives. I think there are some critiques that the whole off screen thing with Sabathun
Mhm.
kind of felt important, that needed to be on screen in some capacity. And you know, we have been getting a lot of ink blot cutscenes, and I feel like this season's been pretty, it's been light. No, we got sword
Right.
logic anyway. You know, it could have done better, but also overall I think this was a pretty decent season from a lore perspective. I don't know who was involved this season, because sometimes they get writers back. I don't know if Seth Dickinson was involved again, or someone who's very familiar with the books of Sorrow, because it was just kind of spot on with lore from 2015. Essentially, it was pretty good.
Nice.
Blandy McBlanderson.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
So he says, "You
Blandy.
nailed it with last week's fake disease."
Nice.
So last week's question, Blandy's so good. He actually put in last week's question was, hold on, I'm reading it. This week I have five terms, 4 of which are old time names of diseases, and 1 is made up. And he says, which one is fake? Dandy fever, King's evil, milk leg, Munson's nether bulbasemia, or chincough. And
Yeah, that's right.
we guessed number 4, Munson's
Yep.
nether bulbasemia, and we were correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
Victory.
This week, I have 5 flavors of Oreo, 4 of which are real, and
Ooh,
1
I like
is
this.
fake. Which
Okay.
is the fake? Number 1, wasabi. Number 2, Chardonnay Dream. What? Number
That
3,
sounds
waffles and syrup.
Chardonnay Dream.
Number 4,
Chardonnay
kettle
Dream.
corn, and number 5, hot chicken wings. I've got to go Chardonnay Dream. Who wants wine flavored Oreos?
No, I
A
think it's just
lot
like
of people.
I think it's just
Yeah,
like
a lot of
white
people.
white
a lot
Oreo.
of people.
White
was the
Oreo
waffles
cookies
one?
with like a yeah.
Waffles and syrup.
There's no way they made a hot chicken,
Yeah, the hot chicken one.
hot buffalo
You
chicken.
think
like-
hot chicken wing over Chardonnay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they definitely do
I can
make
Chardonnay.
white-
totally see
have white Oreos.
Chardonnay, like a fancy Oreo. Hey guys,
Yeah.
look at my
Yeah,
fancy
yeah.
Oreo.
Oh
Yeah.
my
People
God.
put wine infused everything.
People eat
Oreos?
Oreos with wine, I'm sure. It's
Yeah.
like chocolate
Yes.
When
with
they
wine.
dunk them in wine?
No. Just like
No.
I wouldn't be surprised, but
Pretty sure I've done that.
oh. The hot buffalo wings just sounds like a bean boozled flavor or something
It's a
like that.
bad,
It's not-
yeah.
I
that's
just
a
can't
bad-
imagine like sugar added to hot chicken wings.
I do kind of want some hot chicken wings now, though.
Nah, I
That
could go
sounds-
with chicken wings
they
pretty
do.
much any time.
Mm.
They do have like Swedish fish. He should have one of them. They have like a Swedish fish and a candy corn
Yeah.
Oreo. Pretty sure.
Has anybody actually had one of these? Wasabi. Everybody just passed by wasabi. Everybody just assumed that.
It was because everyone is because
Probably
they have
in Japan,
wasabi
they have
flavored
that.
It's
everything.
bait.
Yeah.
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 But maybe it's bait. Maybe they don't actually have a wasabi one.
Like he's
Yeah.
trying to
It's
fool
possible.
us.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Has
I
anybody
feel
had
like
any of these
wasabi
flavors?
would be before chicken wings.
No.
Because they don't have any of these in the
But-
States, right? This is all probably in Asia.
Some of them are in the States, I think.
Some of
Yeah?
them, yeah.
You
Like
think
what?
any other country is going to have Chardonnay?
France. French people love alcohol or something.
They're
Yeah, I don't know.
be champagne probably.
Because I just think of Japan and all the Kit Kat flavors you get, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's like every
I
flavor.
never
Like
saw
all of
Oreo-
these
I
would be
never saw-
flavors.
Yeah, I never saw Oreos over there, so. But having like a meat flavor definitely doesn't feel like that. One.
Oh man. All right, are we
Yeah, I'm
going
gonna
with
go with the chicken as well.
hot chicken wings? Blue, what do you think?
So the question is, which one is real or which one?
Which
Which one's
is
fake?
fake or
Fake.
real?
Fake.
I want to. I actually don't think Chardonnay is real, even though I think it could be, because I think that one is too adult a theme for Oreos to.
Could be.
Oh,
I
good
feel like
point.
Oreo
That's
has
the wrong
always
logo.
been so kid friendly in their flavors
Mm.
and their branding that I don't
Maybe.
think they would do an alcohol theme.
What if that was to sell? Like, fuck the kids. Here's your milk and cookies for the adults. What if it's a late night Oreo sell?
No,
I wouldn't be
think they sell
surprised-
in Australia.
It may be in a different. Maybe the branding's different in different countries. So
True.
maybe they did
That's
do
a good point, though.
That's 200
Yeah.
IQ stuff right there.
Yeah.
Whereas a
Yeah.
kid would definitely eat the hot chicken.
exactly,
Oreo.
exactly.
Like kettle corn sounds fine. Waffles and syrup sounds fine. Wasabi even sounds fine. It's really between, I think, Chardonnay and wings.
I could see kettle corn being fake. Now
Really?
that you've said it again.
Oh
Yeah.
boy,
That'd
they're
be
all fake.
delicious.
All of
That'd
them.
be the one that I would want to be real. I
Yeah.
think.
The salty.
I don't even know
sweet,
what kettle corn
yeah.
is.
It's just-
What's kettle corn?
It's like you ever had caramel corn?
No.
No,
It's like
Okay.
sweet popcorn.
Yeah, it's like it's like caramelized
Oh, it's
sugar with some
popcorn.
salt
Yeah.
on popcorn. So it's like if you ever end up having caramel corn, it's kind of like that, but not as crunchy, and it's got salt on it.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Who doesn't like kettle corn?
All right.
What?
don't. I also don't like pie, though. As we discussed.
Doesn't
Do you
like
not like
pie.
popcorn at all?
No, I love popcorn.
Yeah, remember this is why Lego's so skinny. He
I
doesn't
only
the
like
good stuff.
broccoli.
Listen,
and chicken.
I love
And
candy.
Chardonnay.
Okay? I have no right to look this way.
If these Chardonnay Oreos are real, Lego's about to blow up about 200 pounds.
All about it.
Food sensitivity test might reveal some things about you. and why you
Oh,
like
I
something.
forgot I needed to do that.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So what's our answer officially? Are we going to go with Blue on this one? I think Blue put a
I'm
pretty
just the
convincing
guest.
argument out
I'm
there.
going with blue.
So-
Yep.
Yeah.
So you guys.
Yeah.
This way,
it's
if
all
we're
you.
wrong, we could just blame it on Blue.
Oh,
He's got
no.
it.
Let's do it. Yeah, okay. You
True,
convinced me.
true.
All right.
Yeah, right, fine.
I'm going to do 2 more questions.
Okay.
It's Romeo1
What up?
says, "Hey DCP, D&D was amazing, good fun. Would love to see the crew do it again sometime. Rin would be so much fun if she joined for a campaign."
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's true. You are correct.
Very true.
Anyways, question time. How can Bingo do Zivu Arath justice? She's not season or dungeon worthy. I feel she's needs a DLC. But do y'all think?
Post final shape.
That was a tough sentence.
Just like we talked about.
Bingo.
I think Bungie. I
Bungo.
think we need Bungie
Oh,
there.
Bungo.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, I think people have been saying it's probably going to be an episode, whatever these new episodes are post Final Shape.
Yeah.
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 And they're gonna try see how well they can tell a story with a bit more time and whatever their plan was for those stories. So yeah. I don't think it can be a season, and I can't see how they're gonna have enough time to put it in Final Shape. So I think it's gonna have to be an episode.
Grim
Everyone's
Invictus,
nodding.
Hive
They
God
agree-
Lore
agree with
says,
Mullet.
what's your favorite food to have for breakfast, and where in Destiny universe would you like to enjoy it? Also, there won't be any enemies around to disturb you. Favorite breakfast food?
What if I want to?
I just
rub it in
like
their
a
face?
classic. Your bacon and eggs, to be honest, like good bacon and eggs with some good bread,
Like toast
Yeah.
or just bread?
spinach. Yeah, a toast. Bread that's been toasted.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what
Toasted
toast
bread.
is?
What is toast?
You
in
know,
Australia?
Man, that really clears a
Not
lot
like
of things
toast,
up for me.
toast, but like slightly toasted bread. You don't want it to
Like a-
be.
I was
I
always
Why
walking
the
through the
toast?
store shelves like, where the fuck is the toast?
where's the
Somebody needs
toast?
to get on that. That's a moneymaker right there.
I saw a TikTok or something. Someone said like it was today years old when I found out that the numbers on the toaster is like minutes and not like degrees of toastiness.
Wait,
Because
what?
I've always thought that they're just
No, that's not real.
yeah. See, I was
No
like,
way.
I don't
it's
know.
5 degrees of toastiness. It's more toasty,
Yes.
not 5
Right.
minutes.
I don't believe this.
I don't think it's
I don't
Yeah,
think this
That's
is
this
a
true.
can't
long
be
ass
real.
time. 5 minutes.
Okay, we'll go test it. This is easily testable.
I'm gonna
I
test this.
got my stopwatch.
Like toaster ovens have a timer, but my
Yes.
Yeah.
toaster, I think it's a dial.
One of these
degrees
guys.
of toastiness.
Bing.
My toaster oven, that's definitely not correct because I could see the number and I could see the timer.
Okay, everyone's
But maybe
saying
for a
they're
regular
not
toaster.
minutes, not minutes. Maybe go work it out. I'll check back in next week.
Yeah.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reporting
Go do some math
obvious
experiments,
facts
guys.
from TikTok, which is always correct.
It was a bait. It was a bait TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
It's like
but
that
look at the
shitty
interaction.
life
If
tips.
You watch
could be
the
right.
Twitch VOD, there'll be a massive interaction, this spike, and it's because we brought up a controversial topic. Toasters.
Waffles with whipped cream and strawberries.
Oh,
For breakfast?
hell
Yeah.
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 Oh man,
Yeah, well,
that's
Like
a lot of
crepes?
sugar right
Ooh,
there early in the
crepes
morning like
with-
that.
Yeah, it's carbs. You gotta get
Fruit.
going.
Yeah.
You gotta wake up. You gotta get the.
Yeah.
Gotta get
you
the
do need
energy.
carbs. Carbs are good.
yeah,
Maybe with
I
some
once
bacon on
heard
top.
some health person say, "Oh yeah, donuts are good for breakfast." I didn't listen to the rest of it. I thought, great, I'll take that advice.
I got the
It
info
was
I
like,
need.
however.
Approval.
yeah, the,
Donuts in a Chardonnay
quick, turn the
dream.
podcast off. Yeah, true.
I've always liked the breakfast sandwich, like on a bagel or English muffin. It's good to go. You can take it with you, like if you're on the go. It's delicious. It's hot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Got a little cheese, a little bacon, or sausage. You know, I'm not picky. If you're Canadian, you could even put ham on there. Call it bacon.
But to your point, Briar.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have that kind of junk, it's better to have it in the morning than
Wait,
like
what?
before bed.
What do you
No,
mean
I'm
junk?
saying like you want to
You
have
just said
like
waffles with sugar.
yeah, like and if you're gonna have that meal, it's better to have it in the morning than it would be like late at because you don't want to have a bunch of carbs right before you go to bed.
Yes.
Right.
Generally, you
use
want
the
like
energy.
protein or something lean or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mostly, I'm just gonna have a cup of coffee, though. Honestly.
Mm.
Is I don't know if this will be easy to find in the Last City is my issue because if it's Last City themed, right? Or not Last City, but like where in the Destiny universe
Yeah.
Yeah.
is I mean my favorite food is chilaquiles, which is like it's like usually like tortillas fried and like usually coated in like some type of salsa, and usually it has like it's like made with eggs. I love that. It's my favorite breakfast item. I'll eat it every day of my life if I need to. It's gonna be kind of hard to find because I want to have it in the Last City I don't even know if they'll have tortillas in the last city, dude. So it's kind of
What's lower on that mine?
they're not
do we
gonna.
even have eggs? I mean, we do have chicken. So
Yeah, do we even have?
we should
We'll have eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll have eggs.
have eggs.
So
It's one of those
It's gonna be a
machines
tough
that
find.
makes.
Sure.
We got ramen, so I would imagine there's other restaurants as well.
Well, remember when Mars came back? They had like these ripples from the golden age, the big cornfields. So yeah, I'm sure we could just answer all these questions with, oh yeah, just pump it into the relic. We get a memory of food. Bang, tortillas.
I will accept that danger if we don't have tortillas. Like someone has to go into these ripples. I volunteer.
Yeah, yeah.
Or is it going to be
And like,
like
if
the
we don't have
Matrix?
salsa, what are we even trying to save here, right? Like, let's just give it.
Exactly.
I'm with you. I'm with
point.
you.
Is it going to be like the Matrix
true.
version slop of what they like machines and
Oh,
AI think?
What they
that-
think salsa tastes like?
Yeah.
True.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
It's gonna give us tomato paste.
Just marinara. All right. Once again, we have answered all the questions to the Destiny universe. You're welcome.
We did.
Mhm.
Thank you, Blue, for joining
Everything.
us
Yeah,
on
thank you,
such
Blue.
Thanks, Blue.
short
Absolutely.
notice.
Thank
It
you
was
for
great to have
allowing me to
you.
come in halfway through. Because when Watts was like, "Hey, you want to be a guest?" and I was like, "I don't have a full 3 hours to set aside." And she was like, "I'll just come in halfway through, like easy." So, but thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Little mini guest. I appreciate you guys having me. It's been a long time since I've been on DCP.
It's been
so
a
I
long time.
Yeah.
was pretty excited about it.
Well, we were pretty
when
bitter
Watts-
about
We can
you
do a
guys
proper
beating us with
show.
the hill tilt.
I feel like that hilt thing definitely affected my chances of ever coming back. So
I bring up Blue and Tufty's like,
the hilt
Can
tilt.
someone please?
the hilt guy. Mm.
Can someone please find the YouTube video?
Yes.
Was we
Oh
on YouTube?
man,
No, it's on the
gotta
DCP channel.
be.
I'm sure. it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's-
I need to see this.
Yeah.
it didn't help that everyone was leaning into the hilt tilt meme that that chat had made up.
Yeah.
So Jeffy had to deal with the hilt
Hilt
tilt
tilt. Yep.
meme for.
I think I'm gonna
Uh,
text him
to be
tonight and be like,
honest,
"Hey,
so-
remember hill tilt?"
No, brother, no.
Blue sends his regards.
Oh, wait.
They'd be like,
before
hey,
we-
Tempty, just check it in.
Before we go, I actually have a goofy story.
Okay.
Okay, so there was this Borderlands thing a couple of years ago, and me and the Dream Team boys did this stupid meme. I didn't mind too much that because I hadn't really gone to these events too much.
Oh, the reveal event.
The Real for Borderlands, yeah, where they invited a bunch of content creators and you could play the game. And so I got invited and I was really excited about it. And I was like, yeah, I'll go, like, why not? And so me and the Dream Team boys had this stupid meme where it was like, okay, you're gonna hang out with us, but let's just to be funny, let's pretend that you're not you. So no one knows what you look like. So poor Briar. Briar, we've met.
Yeah.
We did this stupid meme where I was like a reporter for Polygon, and that was my cover. And I don't even remember. It was a stupid ass name, but we hung out and had dinner and had like a whole half a day with Briar. And Briar, this poor dude was like, "So you work for Polygon? That's really awesome. Like, what kind of like, what's your favorite type? Like, what's the best part about your field?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, like, so much about it." And
It's all so cool. No,
and I would just not really talk about it. So Brian would always look at me like, "Man, nothing, man." To be fair, Briar was pretty toasted by the time we got to dinner. So
What? No.
Oh, that's so good.
Briar can
again.
Briar can drink it up. That dude is beast mode.
Briar's like, Polygon's doing a whole like day with Briar Rabbit. This is
Yeah.
great. What?
I'm pretty sure I just invited myself to that dinner too. I'm just like, you
Oh,
guys
we
are
were
going
like,
to
why
dinner?
not? Yeah, why not? Briar's cool. Like, but I don't know if you remember that at all, but I specifically remember like just Briar was so interested in he was like, that's amazing, like journalism, that's such a cool field to be in. And he would poke and prod me, but Not that I didn't want to give you anything, Briar. I just couldn't give you
You didn't have anything to give.
I had nothing to give.
That's a
Brian's
great
probably
That's
story.
hilarious.
thinking, this
Oh my
guy's a
God.
cop. Someone's up here.
This guy-
Brian's like,
Exactly,
"Oh,
exactly.
He's an undercover cop.
Yeah.
He's like, oh God, the cops are on to me. They finally found me.
I do have to say,
Brian
Blue.
spun off into this paranoia. He's like, oh my god, they've caught onto my conspiracies. This guy's a planted cop.
Blue, when you like clear your throat and your avatar like goes like this, it's probably my favorite thing. It's like
A little hot.
Oh, really?
yeah, I like that
Oh.
too. Like the best thing.
Oh, what can I say? I give the people what I want, what they want, what I want, what they want.
I give the people what I want. Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week for more weirdness, I guess.
Stuff.
Stuff.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank y'all. Bye bye.
Bring your favorite conspiracy theories.
Bye.
Bye.